With your hosts, Dark Sakura, Sky, and Loki.
The Video Game Awards have come and gone, and some exciting news has come out of it. Telltale picks up not one, but two huge franchises slated for 2014. While one may be the worst-kept secret, the other may surprise you. Your reactions, phone calls, and more on the show where every video gamer has a voice.
Orange Lounge Radio.
Hello, my friends out there on the internet, and welcome back to another week of the show where every gamer has a voice. It is Orange Lounge Radio, live tonight with episode 530 for this December the 8th of 2013. My name is Rob Roberts, and joining me over the next few hours to talk video games and gaming culture and gamer lulz and probably a lot of other miscellaneous talk, too. We have to fill 3 hours somehow. She's joining me as she does every week, Dark Sakura, or Jamie Summers.
Hi.
How are you?
Educated.
Educated. The more you know. Did you read a book today?
No, I've been watching documentaries all week.
Because that's what LeVar Burton taught me growing up. Is, take a look. It's in a book.
Reading Rainbow.
Exactly.
No, I've been watching documentaries all week.
Oh, there you go.
They've been very interesting.
When I first got Netflix, or I should say, well, for when Netflix was first out, it was only the DVDs, right? So when I first got the Netflix streaming, whenever that was, it was a couple years ago, right? Well, ish. One of the first things I did is I binged watched documentaries. Like I went through that phase too, because Netflix streaming doesn't always have a lot of the current stuff, but they have a lot of the really like low budget, I'm using my quotey fingers, like documentaries and stuff. So it's a great thing to binge on.
There's actually YouTube channels now that are all documentaries. And I've been watching a series called Extraordinary People. Yeah. On, I think a few years ago in the UK. And they really, really, really like autistic savants. But they meet people all over the world. It's actually really cool. And a lot of surgery ones too, like people with odd growths on their face.
Speaking of British, I noticed that Netflix in general, and this is like a paid advertisement for them. We don't get paid for
pay us them. Netflix.
There's no little code we have or anything, but they have a lot of BBC and British programming on there. I noticed that too, which is pretty awesome. So.
Do not insult Reading Rainbow by applying My Little Pony to it.
What are you looking at? Our chat room?
Deft.
At live.vognetwork.com. Of course, you can join us in our chat. What did Act Def say there? Oh, Reading Rainbow dash. There it is. Live.vognetwork.com. We do tape live every Sunday night at 6 o'clock Pacific, 9 o'clock Eastern, right after the Bobby Blackwolf show. Also joining us here in studio tonight, say hello to Techmaster Loki.
Hello.
How you doing, Loki?
Doing fine.
Awesome. So, there's a little parlor game that some of our chatters like to play, which is what food did Loki bring to the show tonight? And an old favorite returns tonight. I haven't seen you bring this in like 6 months, but what did you bring to the show tonight?
Triple bacon pizza.
Triple bacon pizza. Good for the heart. Low in sodium.
Yep.
All right, amazing. I'll enjoy it. Also joining us in the studio tonight, as he has been on and off since Thanksgiving because he's spending the holidays in the area. So why not give it up for VX Jason XV, XYZ, LMNOP.
BBQ. LOL. I'm sure everybody's very surprised to hear my voice again, but always great to be here as usual.
And always nice to have you. We get a Jason for the holidays.
Yay!
It works out.
It's my Christmas present to everybody.
No, it's always great to have you. The more people in the studio, the merrier. Unfortunately, you don't get a lot. It would be great if we were all in San Francisco or something where a lot of people kind of come through.
Yeah, but make you losers drive an hour and a half to get down there to me.
Yeah, in Sacramento, it's a little harder to get the people up here to actually sit in studio with us. But if you're ever in the area, let me know. Always open to guess.
It's conveniently located. You guys have an airport. You guys have a train station.
We do have an airport.
It's not
and running water. The whole government of California runs out of this.
40-degree temperature week and
yeah, isn't that hilarious? How cold? I'm using my quoting fingers. How cold it is right now.
Yeah.
But it's like I tell people, or like when it rains. Dark Sakura loves to say, California, you guys don't know the rain. You got to spend some time in the South where it really rains, or what have you. But
what about the rains in South Africa?
What about the rains in Spain? Falls mainly on the plains.
Okay, Toto.
Thank you.
For the record, the weather right now is like February in Alabama.
Well, I was going to say, though, one thing to keep in mind, we're not built for certain things. Like, if it were to rain here like it does in the South, we'd all be underwater. We'd be part of the ocean, right?
Mm-hmm.
And no, all of your houses would fall over.
And with the cold, we have like outdoor pipes and stuff here is very common. And when it gets really cold.
And houses made out of plywood.
Yeah, wrap your pipes. bring your pets in because it's just not normal here. So
You've never had to know the pleasure of filling your bathtub full of water and putting a teaspoon of bleach in it so that you have clean water when your water stops working after a hurricane.
No, thank you.
You've never seen a tree the width of this table be uprooted right in front of your eyes.
I will take the earth shaking randomly under my feet any day.
I will take a hurricane any day.
So it's 36 degrees here right now. Is this when we play Guess What It Is in Colorado right now?
Yeah, negative 20, I'm sure.
Close. That's the feels like. No, it is currently 9 degrees and will be 1 degree before this show is over.
Wow. What up, G in chat at live.vognetwork.com says, I love the Snow Bowl games today. You know, not that we talk a lot about sports ball here on OLR, but I got to say, I actually saw some of that game today. Yes, I did. I saw some footballs today. And that was hardcore that they were out there playing in the snow. And, like, it's the type of thing where, like, you can't even see the damn lines. That, like, they have to project the lines out there because you can't even see them because of the damn snow.
They're paid employees. They better play in any kind of condition.
Oh, no, Rob, you were a band geek. So how about this? Marching competition in the snow.
We never had the snow, but we had to do field show once in the pouring rain, and so many of us slipped and fell. Like, I slipped and fell in a mud thing, but you just get right back up and keep going.
The last marching band competition I did was in Prattville, Alabama, and it was in the snow. Mm-hmm. And we were all fucking cold. And you had all the clarinet players that had the fingers cut out of their gloves.
Did you play clarinet? Because,
no, Jamie played saxophone.
All right. Anyhow, we could talk band geek stories all night, but it is a video gaming show, so let's get back to the topic of video games at hand. Tonight's kickoff topic, Loki is actually going to start us off with our kickoff topic tonight. It's something a lot of people on Twitter and everything's been talking about, so I'm sure some of you are wondering when we were going to bring it up, so here you go.
Yeah, it's just we're going to talk a little bit about the VGX award show thing that they had yesterday on Spike, and it was also streamed on Twitch and all that fun stuff. Lots of interesting things coming out of that. Mostly just some new trailers for things, announcements of
some things we'll get into later in the show.
Some other stuff we'll get into later, and some at least one cool game that or brand new game that I saw. Well, actually, there's several brand new games, but one from like an indie developer that was No Man's Sky that looked pretty awesome. It kind of stole the show, right? And at least that seems to be the consensus.
I saw that trailer because I did not watch the VGX, but I kind of always said, I'm like, any of the good stuff will be on YouTube afterwards. So I did see that trailer, and it was neat, but I couldn't, like, I was like, well, what's the game? Like, you know, it looked neat how it was going from underwater to land to sky to space in just like one fluid motion, and the art style was very neat. So yeah, I was kind of like, oh, this is neat, but what is it, a shooter? Because I see bullets being counted in the corner. Is it what the heck game is it?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's the only thing that kind of gets me about it is I'm like, all right, cool story, bro. What's the game?
It just looks interesting.
Yeah, no, I look forward to the next chapter and what this game's all. I'm not dissing the game; it looked really good, but I'm curious. You know, well, okay, what else is there?
Well, okay, so basically the main thing about this is there's been a lot of conflicting opinions about the show since this is gonna kind of a whole change of venue for. You know, the VGAs, now it's this new, there's no audience really. It's just kind of this studio set, and they have developers on. They're interviewing them with different things. To me, it seemed like a very long version of, you know, their game trailers show that they normally have on Spike. And except, you know, they gave out awards, and they had Joel McHale, and a lot of people didn't like Joel McHale because they thought he was just, you know, hating on the entire show and not taking anything seriously, and which, I mean, if you're a paid presenter, I don't think that he's doing that on purpose. That's just shtick, but whatever. And you know,
he made some major faux pas as well that should be called out. Like and to some people, you may go, "Oh, what's the big deal?" But you know, again, if you're trying to break out of that whole machismo, you know, gaming culture, and it's only for a certain type of people, especially coming off last week when we had a guest that was really talking about inclusive games. You know, Joel McHale made a pretty off joke in the first 10 minutes of the show, something about Wario getting a sex change, which can be construed as transphobic, which, you know, I realize there's a fine line between are we too sensitive about getting offended easily and, you know, and so forth. But it's just kind of the thing where it's like, you know, I just, a joke like that kind of just leaves me very like sourpuss face when we're all about trying to include more people in gaming culture. And let's get away from gaming being just about dude bros and that sort of thing. But I don't know. Maybe Spike TV feels some sort of allegiance to that demographic. I don't know. But I didn't watch it, but I heard about it, and I just kind of made a sour face.
Well, some of the things like that he said were kind of ironic, I guess, because the whole thing he's like, yeah, we're gonna have lots of trailers and demos and basically stuff that you can consider one long giant video game commercial or something. And I understand that's supposed to be a joke, but at the same time, that's kind of what this is. It's just a big fucking commercial for these games, and that's why the whole thing kind of seems like a joke in the first place. If you want to say even more of a joke than the VGAs were, at least the VGAs, it was actually presented like an awards show, and you could kind of imagine, or at least make believe that it's an awards show and not necessarily something that is used to drive certain properties ahead and good for marketing and that kind of stuff. But I just don't know. It's harder to take this seriously, especially when they come out of the gate looking like this, and it looks ridiculous. It's kind of like, if we had a bigger budget, or like if someone had a bigger budget out there and just filmed themselves talking about, what they think is, the best games, even though I know that they had an internet poll, to nail down some of those, winners and stuff, but I don't know. I can't really take it seriously.
Let me ask this question then. Why do we, as a gaming culture? I mean, these things only have enough clout and power as we give it. Why do we continue? And I'm even accusing ourselves here. Why are we even talking about it? Why is gaming culture obsessed with this show? Because Spike TV clearly wrote it off. They'd rather air Cops reruns.
I think people are more obsessed about the show because of the exclusive trailers and stuff that they show off. It's basically the new stuff that we get to see that people... I don't think really a lot of people, aside from, getting an affirmation that, hey, X series that I like, got an award or something like that. Look, I'm justified in my liking this series or something, or, complaining about that. The general... video game culture conflict between different people and opinions and stuff like that. But for me, that's kind of one of the reasons I would tune in, is just because of the new trailers. And yeah, I know I could, just watch them online, which I was going to do, but I just saw that there was a link to stream. Oh yeah, I didn't know they were streaming that online. Checked out about 10 minutes of it, and thankfully saw that trailer for No Man's Sky. My son was watching too, and he's like, I want to see that trailer again. Let me get a couple comments here, Jamie.
Well, I was just thinking that part of me wonders how much of it is driven by sponsors. If they're getting X amount of revenue dollars, then they have a continued reason to keep doing it in whatever way they want to, as long as they keep getting the money in, right?
Of course. Jason?
I was just going to say it's the leaving sports ball on in the background to watch the commercials effect.
So you think a lot of people were watching it very passively, where it's like, well, it's a Saturday, there's nothing better on.
Award shows are long, and there's enough, like, it's something that you don't necessarily have to see just until you have to. So you can glean a lot of information by having it on and having it around in lieu of doing something else. But then as soon as they talk about a studio that you really enjoy or a game you're chomping at the bit to see more content of, it's like, okay, now I'm going to pay attention. I'm going to give my active attention to this instead of my passive attention.
And also the thing kind of represents they kind of a lot of people think Jeff is kind of a corporate sellout, especially with the whole Doritos and Mountain Dew thing, and they have him dress up like the Mountain Dew Pope and stuff, or Doritos Pope and stuff. Well, this is almost like an example of corporate sellout type of thing.
I'm going to say something that actually might surprise some people. I'm going to defend him a little bit, because I kind of think at his core he is really not a sellout. I actually think at his core he really is a gamer like you and me, wanting to do a job out there. I think to some extent what's happened is it's either this or nothing. And I think he kind of realizes that. Like, in some ways, I think this was kind of a last-ditch effort to kind of save this sort of thing on Spike. I mean, let's be real. It wasn't on TV. This thing was on its way out the door of broadcast TV or whatever. However they want to spin it, the reality is they showed Cops reruns instead. So I kind of think at his core he wants to do good things, but unfortunately there's only so much those sponsor people and the suits and the people that are so out of touch with this are willing to go. So maybe that's why he was open to the idea of turning to the internet and trying to let it sort of go a new direction and so forth. So I give him credit for that. But unfortunately, it's kind of one of those, this was your chance and you blew it.
Well, here's the thing is, I don't think that why is everyone so situated on the fact that this stuff needs to be on TV? Most people nowadays, especially in the gaming community, don't watch a lot of TV. It's all about internet stuff now, all internet broadcast shows. Hell, you have people that used to be on TV, like, Adam Sessler, doing web shows now. I'm sure that he could easily... Hell, he's backed by game trailers. He could easily go to game trailers and have his own damn show that's more serious and, still has the same type of people on there. And he doesn't have to bow to, the corporate sponsors of Spike or whatever, MTV, to have all this nonsense that's in there. That's what I think they need to do. There is definitely a way out of, it's not this or nothing. There's plenty of options out there. It's just they try to do it again. And props to Spike for at least still considering gaming as, a viable thing to have on their network, because fuck, G4 just gave up on that.
Right. Let me go to the chat room, because there's a lot of comments on this, of course, in the chat room at live.vognetwork.com. It is the show where every gamer has a voice after all. Act Def says, again, take out Joel, and it would have been fine. Black Wolf says, I like what they tried to do, but they needed to do it, not try. And I bet, again, that's a little bit of the battle between the suits and so forth. Bobby also goes on to say, Jeff has done some amazing journalism stuff. Jeff's The Final Hours reporting is wonderful. And I think I don't know a lot of people that would argue with that.
And that's why it's kind of a disappointment. I mean, his game trailer show's good. Yeah. I have nothing bad to say about that. It's a great show. And it's kind of embarrassing that he's this good, and yet here's this.
Here's a couple other comments that are really deep, and this is really good stuff. SSJ 100 Matt says, and this was in response to why do these awards even exist and so forth. SSJ 100 Matt says, because we're a society that needs a winner and a loser in something. Award shows in general give people validation that their favorite thing is better than other people's favorite thing. Be damned if that doesn't hit the nail on the head.
100%.
100%.
Absolutely.
I mean, and that's not even just games. I just talked about football a minute ago. I mean, isn't that kind of the big thing behind football? My team's better than your team, right? I mean, that's a lot of culture right there.
They have even, what was it, the ESPYs?
Oh yeah, well, yeah, and it's just not even. It's not even just that. The Oscars,
especially Western culture.
The Oscars, right? People get obsessed with being able to call the Oscar pool or whatever at work and that whole thing. I mean, that's just a part of culture. Absolutely. And especially in gaming. Xbox One fanboys versus Sony fanboys versus Nintendo fanboys. That absolutely goes on.
Well, and then you've got the other people who just laugh at them.
Let's see. Also in our chat room.
But I was actually going to say, but even that in and of itself is sort of some people sort of get on their high horse about not being competitive.
Right. Yeah, I know. Yeah, there is. I mean, you have to have a little fun with it, and it's. You don't want it to be the kind of thing where everybody wins an award because some
I'm
video
the kind of guy that owns every console, and I give everybody a fair opportunity.
I would like their income. Dan and I used to be in that boat, and now we're kind of like we don't care anymore.
Fuck yeah, seriously, if I was making an income that he's probably making on, that show, I will wear a fucking Doritos Pope hat. I don't care on TV. I will sell out.
Akuma JP says, my milkshake is better than yours. Could you teach me? Would you have to charge?
I have more boys in the yard.
Thank you for that, Jason. When you're
Another one just sprouted up.
When you're editing this week's show, be sure to crop out that little sentence. All right. I really want to read this serious comment from Scottatron because this is important too in our chat room at live.vognetwork.com. Scottatron says, Joel kept making jokes about gamers being virgins and living in their mother's basement, exactly what gamers want to hear during an award show for the gaming industry. Just dumb, if you ask me. And I had that criticism when I came back from GamerX. I had a few choice words to say about one of the monologues that I saw Pandora Box give. who, she kind of made a lot of those jokes too. And I'm like, okay, Pandora, you might be at like a GLBTQI, that whole thing, quilt bag or whatever it is. You might be at one of these types of conventions, but it's also a gaming convention. Don't get up here and offend gamers either. And that was something I, as much as I love her and still do, I just was really put off by that when I came back from that.
I just think Joel's material maybe is a little old because he was kind of doing that, at the Ubisoft stuff when he was hosting that.
Mm-hmm.
It's get new material.
But Rama counters with this. It says, if geeks can't make fun of themselves, then what the fuck are we? But I don't know. I
think it's a little bit different when it is someone that you count on to do it appropriately.
Yeah, I agree and I don't agree. Like, I do agree we have to be able to get offended a little bit, and that's why I'm not here raging more about some of this. But it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, okay, you're living in your basement shit is old. Joke is old.
Yeah, it's kind of like these jokes we've heard before. It's kind of like someone named Richard and someone calling him Dick is like, yeah, I've never heard that before. It's very cliche.
Sex change joke is just... like, you can do better than that. It's tacky. You can do better than that. Like, especially in this day and age, like, you're smarter than that.
It's like, if you're going to go for the insulting jokes to be funny, go from the Lampanelli page, but don't think that you're actually being funny.
Go look at South Park, because I think that shit's really funny. But granted, they offend everybody, and it's just... But anyway.
That show has gotten incredibly stupid.
I don't know. The last few episodes are pretty good. All right. Anyhow, so whatever. I mean, again, I'm not like, oh my God, I'm so mad about the VGX. I'm not mad about the VGX by any means. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm like literally asking the question where I'm like, why is this such a big fucking deal?
Kind of disappointed that there wasn't anything like, a Fallout 4 trailer, and it was just like, it's like, hey, here's a new trailer for Titanfall. I wish there was more new game announcements, It's just kind of like,
I think,
new trailers for games that we've already seen.
Keep in mind, we're at the halfway point between E3s, too, so I think there is definitely a drive out there, a call for like a winter E3 type of thing, and I think the Video Game Awards or VGX...
winter E3?
A wintry 3?
A wintry 3?
A wintry 3, yeah, that type of thing. You know what I mean? Like something, some news to be a tent pole between the different E3s. Just something to kind of keep us going until the next one. But I don't know. I felt the announcements that came out of previous the VGXs or whatever were better, were stronger. You know what I mean? Than what we got this year.
Steam is more exciting. Steam sales are a lot more exciting.
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't ask this question, but it just kind of sprang to mind listening to this. Collectively, the four of us, are we out of touch?
No, Jason, because we're gamers, and this is something we talked about a little bit last week. I don't think we're out of touch because, again, the crux of the show is where every gamer has a voice. We are gamers. We have voices. We use them.
So maybe that's the wrong question to ask, but I really wish I could remember the detail of something that I was thinking about in one of these last couple of weeks. But basically what it boils down to is that there are obviously multiple sides to everything, and there is nothing wrong with one individual's opinion against the other. They're both right, despite the points we just made 5 minutes ago. But it's kind of like it seems weird to me because collectively we've said the same. It feels like we've said the same thing for a month. A big collective sigh at the future. Despite the fact that consoles continue to shatter all records constantly, console sales and everything. So out of touch was definitely the wrong question to ask. But it would be very interesting to find how we deviated from the fact that almost all of us, if not all of us, owned every console of the last generation. It was like, we grew up with our parents and we had the one that we wanted or the one that our parents got us. And then we grew up more and we went for more and more, and then we had jobs and we had income and we invested in the entire generation and took everything in. And now we're here, the door is open, we can do what we want, and we'll get there, but...
Let me tell you where I think your viewpoint's skewed a little bit, because I get where you're going with this, but there's a couple things that caught my ear there. And one is that it's not that the future looks bleak for gaming. I don't believe that. It's just none of us were ready to jump on the bandwagon right now. There's not the games to justify that right now. But to say the future looks bleak, Not necessarily. There's some very exciting things on the horizon, and we continue to push things forward. I'll give you a great example, Jason. It's something we don't talk about enough here on the show, but Oculus Rift. Mm-hmm. Really freaking cool, right? I know Bobby Blackwell's going to back me up on that.
That quite literally changes everything because it was done to an incredibly limited extent in the 90s, and then it meaningfully disappeared until last year.
So does the future of gaming look bleak? No. As we get one step closer to the holodeck, the future of gaming looks awesome.
It is awesome because now we're going to get a new Lawnmower Man movie.
But do they need my money right now? I don't think so. And Jason, if you think back to those consoles you did have as a kid, how many of them did your family really get on launch day? I know my family, yes, we had a Super Nintendo, we had a Nintendo, I got a PlayStation. None of those consoles did I have in the first year. And in some cases, I think a Super Nintendo was out for like 3 years before I got one.
I have never owned a console on launch day.
See, when you're the big kid and you get to make the purchases, then you get to, kind of make some more of those decisions. So it's not that we don't support the next generation of gaming by not getting those consoles right away.
We just get there eventually.
I just go, the realistic is, now I've got to juggle the rest of the bills and so on. Anyway, Jamie, I know you're dying to
Here's
comment.
the other thing, too, is that we have experience to back us up, where we have been there for system launches and we have gotten things close to launch window, I mean, Dan and I waited in line for our Dreamcast. I waited in line for a Wii. Actually, Kristen and I bribed our place in line at Target with Krispy Kreme. The other systems Dan was able to get day one because he managed a GameStop. We've had the ends. We took advantage of it. But now it's like we have that experience of the disappointment that's come afterwards. Well, okay, the shiny's worn off. Dan's done with, Twilight Princess. What do we do now? I could sit here and try to play Trauma Center on Vicodin, because that was right after my surgery, too.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm just saying that a lot of the people that you see waiting in line now are people who have more done, maybe game launch waits, or have had people to do the wait for them, but now they're getting the experience of getting it home and then going, well, what do I do now?
You know what's really funny that I'm just now realizing, because I'm thinking through in my head, like, what did I buy on launch day and what did I buy in the launch window and so forth? And every system that I bought on launch day, every single one of them that I had on the launch day that I actually said, you know what, I'm going to buy this purchase. I bet you can guess, do you know what they all have in common?
Previous systems games.
No. Actually, yes.
Compilations / history.
No.
No?
They're all Nintendo.
Yeah.
Which isn't going to do the people that call me a fanboy and that whole thing any favors, but just I'm going to fess up. I think back. I bought a Wii U on launch day. I bought a Wii on launch day. I bought a DS on launch day. I bought a 3DS on launch day. I didn't buy a GameCube on launch. I didn't buy that. But of the games, the systems I can think of that I actually did punk down the money on launch day, they were all Nintendo. And I'm trying to think in my head right now, like, well, why is that, Rob? Why did you buy those systems, but yet you wouldn't do it for the PlayStation 4 and so forth? And again, it's about the games that were out. And Wii U had a Mario game I really wanted to play, and it had the Zombie U, and that. The Wii had Zelda, amongst
that was the big decider for me.
And so on and so on, And 3DS and DS were a little bit different, granted, but they were strong enough where I bought one on launch day. Did I buy a Vita on launch day? I don't think I did, but I bought it really close. So Vita was close.
Well, Dan and I, before that, because he had gotten his Saturn at launch, and I think Dan got his Saturn at launch, and we got our Dreamcast at launch, and we got an import Dreamcast soon after the Japanese launch. So we were like that with everything Sega did.
One thing I haven't brought up on the show in a while is that I kind of took a siesta during that. Like, I wasn't like when I was in college. I was going through some other stuff personally, so I actually wasn't as big of a gamer during that period. So I kind of missed the Dreamcast launch, probably right on up through the PlayStation 2 launch. I think that finally started to bring me back in the fold thanks to DDR and everything, and then I got into this show, which really got me back into video games again. But I kind of missed a gap there. So, but I kind of feel like if I was gaming, I would have bought a Dreamcast on launch day. No.
And I have to tell you the truth, that was actually one of the most fun launches I've attended.
Yeah, I bet. Loki, any thoughts? We kind of strayed a little bit from the original topic. I'm sorry, but this is good stuff. I would blame
My
Jason
fault.
for that. Yeah.
I bought. Well, I didn't buy anything this generation. Well, for launch stuff. Otherwise, but the PlayStation, Xbox 360 wasn't quite at launch because they were sold out, and so I got one from Craigslist, and so I got that near launch. I mean, it was pretty close, but I bought like almost the entire library of launch games when it came out.
Yeah.
So I mean, and I was vastly disappointed by a lot of them because it was just like, it's not that great, but whatever.
Assuming I can budget, again, I will have a PlayStation 4 January, February next year is when I'm looking to get my PlayStation 4. Xbox One will be like late summer, probably the holiday season console.
I just I still don't really need a PlayStation 4. Like, there's nothing upcoming. Infamous looks good. That's
For
probably
me, for me, there is, though. And we'll get to it later in the show.
Well, I was also going to say there's some, some chatter in here about, different people having different systems at launch. The other thing, too, that made system launches different for me and Dan was that when the last gen came out, he was managing a GameStop. So it wasn't like we had to go and wait in line. He could just go to the store and pick it up. It'd be behind the desk. We weren't going to... The only reason we waited in line for the Wii... I waited in line for the Wii is because we weren't originally going to get one. So we had no order on it. And then we were trying to, wait in line for OLR.
That was fun, though.
It was kind of fun. I had a good time hanging out with Kristen that night. It was pretty fun.
And the Xtifer went with you guys, too, right?
And then there were the people that were walking... No, he wasn't at that one with us.
Oh.
But then there were the people walking up at, 8 in the morning. We're here to buy one. Sorry, we only have enough for the people who were in line.
Anyhow, all right. Good reminiscing, good stories. We got a little bit off topic, though. I want to get into our gaming week so we can get into what's going on in gaming news this week. So let's get into how was your gaming week, the types of video games that you have been playing this week, whatever system it's on, or PC. Dark Sakura.
I played some Final Fantasy 14.
Mm-hmm.
I thought about 8, and then I went, lol, no. What else did I play? I actually started playing Mass Effect 2 again, just because I wanted more stuff to caption. What else? Animal Crossing. I'm still playing Zelda. I'm taking my sweet time with it. I think I'm 5 songs away from having a complete song list in Animal Crossing now.
Nice.
Yeah. Crap, what else is it that I played? Oh, yeah, I tried to play Bust a Move Universe again, and it's just awful. I tried to like it. It just was not good. It's clearly the reason it was $14 brand new. It's just hard to see. And then I think that's about it. I kept going back and checking the roster list for Namco High because I'm really looking forward to playing it.
All right. Loki, how was your gaming week?
This week I played more Grand Theft Auto. Did a little bit more online on the 360. Got my character up to, I think, level 20, which is weird. It kind of sucks that they've nerfed everything because it's taken me so much longer to get up to like level 20 on the Xbox 360 than it has on PlayStation 3, where I was playing it a lot more. And like on PlayStation 3, I think I'm up to like 28 or 30 or something. So it's kind of hard to get them all high level, especially when I split my time between 2 different versions of the game. Let's see. Other things I played a little Minecraft this week, just when I didn't have any internet at work and stuff. And it's as grindy and, I don't know, as it's been. So, but there's horses, and I haven't really done anything with the horses. They just taunt me from outside the window. And then I did, as I was kind of hyping up last week, I did get to play some of the final beta tests for Just Cause 2 multiplayer. It's fantastic. I mean, the game is pretty old, but...
I was going to say, we're on Just Cause 3 at this point, aren't we?
No, they haven't put out number 3 yet.
Oh, I thought we were.
No, that's hopefully going to be worked on, but...
Clearly, it's a series I've overlooked a bit. Sorry.
Yeah, like Grand Theft Auto. I would say, though, it's pretty amazing what they've done with this game. They have a game that was a single-player game, and they turned it into almost like an MMO. I mean, there are literally hundreds of people online at a time. I think The lowest I saw it was about 800 people in one game on one server, 800 people. And then the most was like 1,400 people on one server all playing together at the same time. Yeah, granted, there was a few lag issues here and there, but it wasn't super terrible. The only thing is, like, I haven't played Just Cause 2 in a long time, so, you know, the weapons are kind of limited, and, you know, there's not a whole ton of vehicles, but you can, like, buy your own weapons in-game. You kill people and you get money, or you can do races and get money that way. You have, you know, you can jump to different places, like teleport, or you can, you know, join races and... You know, literally, it'll just teleport you once they have enough people for a race, and you do the race, and you earn money, and you can buy vehicles, weapons, different player skins, and it's amazing what they've done. They even had at one point a thing, although it was disabled the last time I played this afternoon, but they had a thing to boost your vehicle speed, so you can type in, you know, /boost, and then set it from, you know, 0.5 or 1.0 boost up to 20, and so if like you hit the gas and hit the boost, you can like launch. I was flying in a boat because I hit a wave or something like that, and I just like I went into the sky and it wasn't coming down. But I mean, it's awesome because not only are you flying around and that stuff, but Just Cause you have like this grappling hook, so you can grapple onto things and planes and. It's just fun, and the game is super cheap. So seriously, they're launching the full version of the game later on this month, and we'll talk about that a little later. But the game itself is like $2. It's like $3. I think it's $2.99 on Steam. Pick that game up, and then definitely, if you can, pick up the multiplayer mod. Hopefully, it's not going to be. I don't think it's going to be that expensive, but if it's running pretty decent as it is with 1,400 people with one server, when they open that up and have a lot more servers, it's going to be pretty amazing. So. And I mean, I had, the frame rate dropped a little bit when you have like hundreds of people in one spot, but it wasn't too bad. It was playable and it was a lot of fun. I definitely gave me quite a big grin, playing it. It was a lot of fun. Since I can't kill anybody in Grand Theft Auto Online without being penalized for it, which is kind of lame, but this game, kill, crash things into each other, and it's all sorts of chaos.
All right. Busy with you then, with Just Cause multiplayer, and is there a faction or some way that all the VOG people can play with you? Or
well, not right now because it's just a beta test, but you can create your own factions and join up and stuff like that. So that might be something we can do later on, especially because right now, it would be pretty hard to like stay together because it's a huge map and you kind of spawn into random locations. You can teleport to different places, but it's very easy to lose each other in that game. It was funny, though. There was one guy, like, I had jumped onto his boat, and he drove off. And so I stayed on his hood for a while, and then he kind of followed me around for a while. And then, like, later on, I was playing through, and I passed by him, parachuting and stuff. So, I don't know. It'll be fun once they launch it officially.
All right. Jason, do you have something you want to share this week?
I'm sure this came up when it actually came out, but have we like actually talked about the Miiverse 3DS, the DLC, for lack of a better word, for bonus games?
Not really in depth, so go for it.
I actually, it occurred to me this week when I was like really drawing out my ability to play those. It's actually, those games are insane amounts of fun. But the problem is, like Street Pass, they rely on you passing people to actually generate it. I may have mentioned on the show sometime before that I have a router at home that takes advantage of Nintendo's remote Street Pass feature where somebody's data, Nintendo will save somebody's Mii data at a hotspot. And then when you go to that hotspot, you get their Mii data, your Mii goes in place, and so you can actually start to proliferate at least a little bit more in the community. And they're supposed to be doing something like a Starbucks, a McDonald's in Europe and a McDonald's in America at the same time will swap data across regions, that kind of stuff. So I have a router that masquerades that, and I get, for Miiverse, I get 10 Miis in not even 10 minutes. And it really makes those games shine, and especially like Mii Force, just how in-depth it really is. I always forget the name of the ninja. Oh my goodness. I can never remember the fourth game. But just rock, paper, scissors, it's that is. I thought I would like that game the most, but it is literally just a grind fest for troops. Rock, paper, scissors, whatever. But Monster Manor, Flower. Wow, I'm forgetting all of these, aren't I? The flower raising mini game.
The Warrior's Way with the rock, paper, scissors.
Warrior's Way is rock, paper, scissors. Thank you. And then Meat Forest. The other three are insane amounts of fun, and I did not expect them to be. So I have actually been really nursing those games this week because it takes me like 2 to 3 weeks in San Francisco to be able to pick up 10 Miis, which kind of surprises me.
Tiger Claw is very curious. How do you set up a router to do that? Does it have to be a specific brand or model?
It does, because you have to be able to change the router's MAC address, because that's the 3DS has to communicate to the internet, and Nintendo themselves stores Mii data and a MAC address. So the MAC address, there's a community, basically a homebrew community that revolves around this. I can send you a ton of links, and I will do that shortly. I think the router I bought was like $40, and there's plenty of alternatives around as well. So as I predicted I was going to do this week, as far as having time to sit down and game, that did not happen. I was training a new hire this week, which means my time was, split between my own daily duties as well as getting him up to speed, and then all the fun things of dinner at work and all that kind of stuff, which meant that I got back to the place that I'm staying at like 11 o'clock or midnight every single night.
But you've been working on something for OLR, right?
I have. In the time that I did manage to have, and then finished off on Saturday, because everything lightened up yesterday, I actually sat down and at... I want to say it was Dark Tetsuya's suggestion, but I don't recall who actually said it last week. Somebody said in chat that it's great that we're putting this on YouTube as well, but can you take some advantage of visual content, i.e. Classic Game of the Week? I sat there and was like, that's a great idea, and it's totally doable. So I took the show. I got some of the resources from what Rob has done on the previous episode, and I wanted to do. I have a lot more ideas. I just didn't have the time to do it this week.
You're just dipping your big toe in. So it's like,
yes.
You got the classic game
plus
lined
learning
up.
video editing and everything else.
That's the first step.
So I took the video that Rob was playing in studio for Marble Madness while Jamie was talking about it, and I spliced it into the video stream after the fact based off the audio that was going on. It was time-consuming as all hell and frustrating at times, but I'm really, really pleased with how it came out. It's the only inner content of the video, but there is more in store.
All right. Well, thank you for volunteering to take over the YouTube channel. Essentially, it's going to be great. And
fun.
We've gotten a little bit of feedback on YouTube, and I think people are looking forward to seeing what we can do there. And who knows? I know I've said my piece about. I don't know if talking heads during the show is the most interesting thing in the world. I know I've said my piece on that, but who knows? I might be swayed in 2014.
Things are a brewing.
Yeah, things are a brewing.
And if we can't think of anything, we can just always fill the rest of the video full of YTMD strobing throughout the whole video.
Works for me. Bobby Blackwolf, our guy that's on before us here at the Voice Geeks Network, he says in chat, I'm a little jealous OLR gets all these people to do things for them. Aw, Bobby.
If it's any consolation, it took me a decade to realize that I can contribute. So now I am.
Well, thank you. We appreciate it. Really do. All right. Anyhow, let's talk about my gaming week. I actually don't have a whole lot to share with my gaming week. Oh gosh, what could I talk about? Well, I've still been playing Final Fantasy XIV like a true addict. Luckily, I'm not the only podcaster addicted to this stuff. Just before tonight's show, I was helping my buddy, who's one of the hosts on Koopa Club. I was helping him. Jonko was one of the hosts over there, and I was helping him with some of the things you have to do when you're level 50, like the primal battles and so forth. I will say this as far as Final Fantasy XIV goes, because it's not in the show reel tonight. There was a new trailer for the patch. The patch 2.1 that hits Monday after next. There's a new trailer that was out this week for that. It's a 10-minute trailer because it shows like a little bit of all the stuff that's new. There's a lot of, and it kind of needs it. As much as I love Final Fantasy XIV, the end game content's pretty thin, so they're really beefing that up with this new patch that's very exciting. So happy to see it.
Did you finish your lightning quests?
No, I failed on that.
I accidentally did them.
I did the first one, and I slacked off on the others.
So I actually have a few screens of what lightning looks like in game. So.
The good news is, if you didn't do the Lightning Quest, they will be back in February when Lightning Returns comes out in the U.S. So there, you'll get a second shot to do those, and there'll probably be more people that are new to the game and so forth at that point. So I've been playing an awful lot of that. Randomly this week, I'll talk about a random game I played this week. So you know how there was that WB bundle that was on sale a few weeks ago, and I've had the key in Steam. So I was like, the other night, I didn't want to play MMOs because I'm like, all right, I've hit my limit on MMOs. I need to play something else to just cleanse the palate a little bit and do something else in games. I played Batman Arkham Asylum. Like I partied like it was 2009 or whenever that game came out. But it was neat because it was the first time I played it on PC versus a console, and it runs really nice on my PC with the really crisp graphics, and I could just use an Xbox 360 controller, so it's just like playing it on console. And it was great to go back and experience that again, and that game and Arkham City, and I haven't played the new one yet, but I know those first two at least are so well put together. Like they do such justice to the Batman comics, I think. I know not everybody may agree, but if you're more of a fan of like the animated series and the comics and all that, I think those games do it so well. And Mark Hamill does a great Joker, of course. I know he wasn't in the most recent one, but in the earlier ones.
But I watched Dan play through the other two, and they're great games. I mean,
yeah.
Especially though, I love all the Catwoman stuff in Arkham City.
Mm-hmm.
That was great.
Yeah, so, I need to play. I also have Arkham City on Steam, so I'll play that at some point. But I want to get through Arkham Asylum first, even though it might take me a little while, and you got to tear me away from Final Fantasy XIV to do so. And then I've just been slowly making progress in other games. New Mario, New Zelda. I haven't been playing those as much as I was when I first got them, but there's no games left to buy at this point. So the good news is, through the holidays, I'll be able to make progress on some of these games I fell behind in. I think that's what a lot of you have planned, eh? All right.
Don't you know?
All right. Housekeeping. You, of course, can friend the show at facebook.com/Orange Lounge Radio, and you can follow us on Twitter.
Don't friend our butts.
Twitter.com/OLR. Some people aren't going to get that joke, Dark Saga. She's referencing an old-ass joke here on OLR. What else was I going to say? We are on YouTube now as well. YouTube.com/Orange Lounge Radio. Thank you, Jason, very much for taking the time to put that all together. Don't bust your ass being a perfectionist on that, because that's killed me so many times. But do it 99% and you're good.
In my defense, I did, because I didn't. The video played essentially 3.5 times, and I know the second time was out of sync. But only this much.
I'm gonna fuck that up so bad, Jason. So don't get used to that.
It'll happen.
All right. But we're dying for more YouTube comments on what you guys would like to see over there outside of cameras in the studio. We know you all want that. We'll see. Let's see. As far as the schedule for the show goes, I don't see us taking any shows off between now. I mean, the way Christmas and New Year's are this year, I think we're going to have shows right on through the new year. Schedule subject to change, though. Loki will not be here next week, though, unfortunately. At least we don't think he's going to be. Loki, would you like to tell listeners why you're not going to be here next week?
I'm not going to be here next week because on Thursday I have to get my wisdom teeth out.
Good times.
I know.
We are dying for Loki videos on the.
I will try. I'm not going to have anything to do, so I'm just going to be sitting at home. So Nelly, she said, because she's gone through it. I think I don't know if she's gone through it, but other people have gone through it, and they say when you get out of general anesthesia, you're just very tired. So who knows? I may be sleeping.
I was confused.
I was talking about my ex-boyfriend with my mother. Like, I will never have anesthesia again after that. What was I thinking?
I don't know. Well, let's see. We'll see what I talk about. But I told her that I think she should record me, like David after the dentist thing. Oh, we could just totally do that.
I think you should play Grand Theft Auto while you're on the anesthesia.
I probably will do. While I'm on the anesthesia. Yeah, that would be a hilarious video. Playing Grand Theft Auto while I'm on anesthesia. I'm asleep. Nothing's happening.
You know what I mean?
I'm just gonna let it play and just let it sit there for 15 minutes. That'll be fine. No, so yeah, I'm not looking forward to that because I've never been put under and never had an IV. all these firsts that I really don't want to have to do.
Brad, our buddy from Pod Culture here at the Voice of Geeks Network says, "Wuss, get your butt to the show. Been there, done that. I had a ham sandwich 2 hours after mine were out."
No, exactly. I'm totally with you. You know, I'm like ready to go back to work the next day, but you know, my wife's like, "Oh, well, you're not gonna be able to eat anything. You're not gonna be able to go out to work." I'm like, "Dude, he said I could eat something right after you know my jaw becomes unnumb because they don't want you to bite through your cheek or something like that."
I just hope you don't run into the same thing that I did.
What's that?
Well, the bottom holes didn't fill up for 3 months, and I looked like I'd been in a prize fight for the entire time.
Well, cool. Then I'm gonna totally say I'm in a prize fight.
I also couldn't talk for those 3 months. Because I was talking at you because I'm moving my jaw.
I got to say, I think SSJ 100 Matt is absolutely right in the chat room, and I believe his dad's a dentist, if I remember right. He says, wisdom teeth recovery is different for each person. I was able to eat fine a day or two after. And, yeah, I think it just depends on each person.
Yeah, it's only two.
Don't neglect the saline wash thing they tell you about. That's super important.
Well, they're suturing them up, so I don't think it's going to be anything that I'm going to need to...
I didn't have to do a saline wash either.
I don't think
Really?
that I'm not going to be able to wash anything if it's sutured up.
Okay. I seem to remember something about you have to do something. You don't want to get dry socket.
No, what I had to do was this. Actually, they gave me like a natural treatment to strengthen the gums. And then I didn't have to do any type of rinses or anything afterwards. But I had my wisdom teeth
I guess
out.
I went to the back alley, dentist.
Well,
I had mine out, though, in the 2000s,
Well, my wife's like, you can't eat anything afterwards because what if you get, like, something in there? I'm like, that's okay if I eat
You
meat.
can have a milkshake.
I'm gonna have smoothies. If I can, if I can just eat meat, I'll just shove meat in there because flesh and flesh, it works.
Have
right?
a meat milkshake.
A meat shake.
That's not as good as you think it is.
Does your meat
You just
shake
can't-
bring all the boys to the yard?
Does Jack in the Box still do the bacon milkshake? You could do that.
Oh God, that wasn't very good.
That was pretty disgusting.
It just
All
tastes
right.
like smoky vanilla.
Yeah, I agree with Akuma JP. OLR Dentist Edition. We're going way too far down the dentist line. Let's get into gaming news and what's going on in the video game world. Even though it is the holidays, things are slowing down a little bit. There's still some things to point out from the week. Quite a bit, actually. Loki?
Sorry, Scottatron. I'm not actually going to be on Laughing Gas. It's going to be actually, I'm pretty sure it's an IV. That's too bad because I think it would be hilarious.
I was on both.
I don't think they're going to put me on both because they did give me, was it?
They needed both to knock out your soul, Dark Stalker.
Well, no, the whole reason, you know what? It's true, but the whole reason is because it actually dilates your blood vessels.
They gave me something.
And they couldn't get the IV in.
They gave me something to take the edge off before I go there. I don't remember what it is. Some sort of drug that.
Could you take the edge off this show by doing some gaming news? Did you like
So
that
Sony
transition?
has reset some PlayStation Network passwords. They said that there was some irregular activity, and apparently, they came out. Try not to, alarm anyone. We routinely monitor for irregular activity, and if such activity is detected, we may sometimes reset passwords of affected SEN accounts to protect consumers and their account information. The password resets are not related to an attack nor a vulnerability in our data servers. It is an example of an increasingly common threat of malicious online activity. Although I'd like to follow that up with, didn't I just read not too long ago that there was some people being affected by the same type of shit that we saw with the FIFA hacking now on the PlayStation 4, and maybe it's something to do with that. But maybe I'm also, being too conspiracy theorist.
No, and I have some serious concerns about this story because when I turned on my PlayStation 3 earlier this week, it made me reset my password. So I'm one of the people that had to do it. And so there was a part of me that's like, why? Why am I being picked? Because there shouldn't be any irregularities on my account. I only use my PlayStation 3 and the Vita once in a great while. Why am I having to reset my password? Which is, it's kind of... changing your password is good and so forth, but it's like, okay, now I really have to have unique passwords
If
for
it's
everything.
any consolation,
It's
they
so
only
rough.
hacked celebrities, okay?
Yeah, but that's my problem is that I'm like, wait a minute, does that mean I was one of those people that they saw a vulnerability for from the 2 million other hack thing? And I'm like, son of a bitch, like, am I at risk? Like, it has me a little concerned.
So this is actually on the heels of a similar tech story about 3 or 4 weeks ago. The chief one was the start of September with the big Adobe hack. There were between that and then there are other miscellaneous news about not that Twitter and Facebook were hacked, but I saw something from them earlier this week. LinkedIn and Adobe's password theft were like the big ones a couple months ago. And this trend that's emerged from these really prominent companies is that they will get that exported data. And if your password, if your email address shows up, they'll warn you. If your password matches the same password hash, because any company in their right mind does not store plain text passwords. Unfortunately, some do. These don't. If your password matches a leaked hash, they reset your password.
You know what?
Because they force you to.
You might have hit the nail on the head, because I use unique passwords everywhere.
But you probably use the same email address everywhere.
But I use the same email address
There
as
you go.
PlayStation Network. I had an Adobe account on there. That could be it. You might be right.
And
I
even-
feel a little better knowing that.
Even with hashed passwords, I could to the extent that I actually have this knowledge, I could delve in. The quick overview is that
Remember, I'm a corporate trainer. There's Adobe. There's Adobe stuff.
Here's the thing. Then why didn't they just say, "Hey, we saw that Adobe has been hacked. These people have been hacked. We ran a list, comparing the emails that were affected from those sites, and as a precautionary measure, we went ahead and reset the passwords." I think with a little bit more explanation, if that's the case, it would actually be better in their favor, because they would see, oh, they're very proactive about that.
Codeman in chat says, I had to reset my PSN password too. I bet Codeman's an Adobe user. He does all that. I know he does stuff with video and graphic design.
That's weird. I'm an Adobe user too, but I didn't have to reset my password.
I haven't had to reset.
That's because I don't. Oh.
Well, I never got any.
Did you use different emails though?
I don't know if I give them.
And did you subscribe to their live services?
Oh,
you probably
God,
yeah.
no.
See, that's the
I
thing.
never got anything to reset my Adobe passwords though.
Did you ever use the name escapes me all of a sudden of the Screencast or whatever it is that they use, or just any of their online services, Acrobat Online or?
I've got the Creative Cloud because I was given the account for Creative Cloud for a year.
C. Allen chat room says tinfoil hat radio. I'm looking for a trend. Okay, Shane Alinko says, I don't use Adobe, but I had to reset mine. All right, so y'all just blew a hole in my theory.
Do you use LinkedIn?
Oh, yeah. I use LinkedIn.
Maybe he did, though.
No. If Shane uses LinkedIn, then he's not on my profile.
See,
I'd like to know why he's not my friend on LinkedIn.
I use LinkedIn with my work email, so I don't ever...
There are many different sources of these things happening, and even when the extracted information and breach is released, sometimes it's not all of the information. Again, if they just go off password hashes, which are not necessarily a perfect way of doing things, but if data doesn't match, your record doesn't show up, you don't have to change it. There's no one answer for everything. This is the continuing saga of security exploits, vulnerabilities. It happens, it continues on, whatever. It happened. As long as you take your precautions to stay safe, we don't have a problem here. Use distinct passwords, enable two-factor authentication if the service supports it. Be safe out there. It sucks sometimes. And then it's awesome other times, like this show.
So
That's okay. We're talking about drugs in chat.
Also, I don't want to. I want to really kind of just make sure I poke something with a sharp stick here. What Loki said about the whole FIFA hacks happening again on Sony. I just want to make sure I call that out, because that's a great concern to me. And now I seem to remember when this. Now my memory could be going here. I seem to remember EA threw this on Microsoft big time when that happened. EA pushed back and landed Microsoft. And I was one of those people that got hacked on Microsoft and so forth. And I said, you know what? No, there's a connection here. They created an EA account for me to buy all these. There's something going on EA's side that they're not fessing up to. And if this happened again, now it's through Sony. I think EA, you got some splaining to do.
Didn't we? My brain could just be linking this in a strange way, but didn't we basically narrow it down to that kind of stuff happening because of Amazon's lax customer support, like Amazon
reverse social engineering on Microsoft, not Amazon.
Yeah, and like using other profile details, other credit card information, or an email address destination. There, like my brain has like 7 companies in mind that's trying to remember the loop of the details, and it's been a long time.
I think it's an explanation. I'm not totally convinced it's the right one, especially now that we have this other thing going on here. And I kind of need EA to be very clear here on why it's not them, and some very specific about what they're doing with data and how they're keeping it safe. I'm just saying that as a consumer. I mean, you might be a tech person sitting there going, Rob, there's no way that... as a consumer right now, I don't trust that this isn't happening because of something on EA's side. I mean, it's just too weird of a coincidence that it happened on Microsoft through an EA game, and now it's happening through Sony on an EA game. That's that. Scottatron in chat says, yeah, like EA would fess up to anything. Well, then we'll have to see how much we want to support them and give them information and money further on. But anyhow, here's something that I'm sure a lot of you will be spending money on. It was something that was announced during the VGX award show. One of the few highlights out of the show. Telltale announced that they are working on a game, Tales from the Borderlands. So, of course, Telltale did speaking of video game award shows, they won them all for Walking Dead last year. Now tons of people want to work with them. So Gearbox Software, one of the people, is working with Telltale on this. So it's a game in the Borderlands universe. It will be an episodic series. The storyline is defined by player choices. Gearbox will be providing Borderlands assets. Telltale, however, is the ones that are designing the game. Telltale did make new characters for this game. They are saying they are not quite Vault Hunters, and some of the characters seen in it, possibly Handsome Jack, although it's more of a resemblance.
He was in the trailer.
Yeah, part of me kind of wonders, could it be like a prequel or something?
I think it's supposed to be during the same time as Borderlands 2 or before.
So we'll see. That wasn't the only thing Telltale had to announce. They announced quite a bit because they also announced that they're working on a Game of Thrones game.
Yay, Chair of Swords.
And I think... Didn't we already have some?
Yeah, they already kind of, that came out, I think, last week or earlier this week.
But they did say it's based on the HBO series, not the books.
Cool.
So that's, because I think they've kind of gone different directions at this point. So it will be based off the HBO series, and it is now official. So there you go. So Telltale clearly very busy. One thing I noticed, there wasn't a lot that people have been talking about this year. Telltale kind of didn't have a lot this year, although chat pointed out to me before the show, the Wolves Among Us or something was a game that came out this year, but that didn't get quite the chatter that some of their other releases have. So I'm wondering if there won't be more in 2014. Although I think Walking Dead season 2 is supposed to be like really soon. Some are saying it might be later this month, although it seems like a really weird time to release that.
I think it's next year.
Yeah, it'll probably be early next year. But you never know. I mean, Telltale could recognize that they do a bulk of their business through digital distribution, and they could release whenever. And, what a great thing to pick up on these gaming consoles right away. Who knows? So, all right, moving on. Dark Sakura.
Well, we've had a lot of joy over a particular gaming franchise, and that's Tomb Raider. Well, the definitive edition is coming out for PS4 and Xbox One. It's supposed to be out on January 28th in the US and in Europe on January 31st. And it was announced on the game's Tumblr. I'm glad to see Tumblr getting more love. So you get all of the pre-order bonuses, the Tomb of the Lost Adventurer, and the multiplayer add-ons, 8 DLC maps, 6 weapons, and 4 characters. You also get extra Lara outfits and digital copies of the Tomb Raider: The Beginning and the art book. So lots of stuff. Also, the final hours of Tomb Raider will be included as well. The Xbox One version will have Kinect voice controls for weapon modding and menus, and I don't care. So.
There's a part of me that wants to razz this a little bit because it's like, so we're remaking a game that just came out last year, but then I think, all right, well, but at the same time,
at least they gave you everything and didn't just move the game and have you rebuy everything.
Yeah, well, and the other thing is too that it's not uncommon for big games to get a Game of the Year edition that includes everything. That's kind of what this is, but yet they turned it up for these new consoles, which I find it's just interesting. I haven't really seen something like this that I can think of before, outside maybe Nintendo remaking some of the Wii games. That's just not even the same thing,
I like this sentence in the article. On PS4, your controller will light up when using the torch. It's cute, especially I'm assuming they'll also use the backlight, the eye light as well.
Uh-huh.
But the controller's already lit up all the time. So am I using the torch all the time?
Perhaps.
Just gonna change
It will.
colors.
The
Hopefully
big
shut
thing
it off
about
when the
that
game
for me
starts.
personally, though, is that given that I played it on PC, and just all of the just graphical glory that it produced, as well as being solid gameplay wise, I think it'd be a nice treat for people at home to be able to play it up to that level too.
Yeah, and I got to be honest. As much as I'm saying, like, this is interesting. I do still kind of want to. I actually really want to get it because I thought the game was gorgeous as it was on, even 360, and now they're talking about, oh, we're gonna turn up the graphics even more, and I'm kind of like, ooh, I kind of want to check that out. For me, price. Do I want to drop $60 on it again?
If you want to check it out with better graphics, play it on PC.
But to be fair, it's different to be like better graphics from what they've got, or they are going back and actually upping some of the assets and so forth. I mean, this isn't just repackaging it.
I think it's just
playing it on the new
honestly,
consoles.
I think it's just putting the PC assets or more of the PC assets on the console. I don't think they're going back and redoing anything.
That's not the impression I was getting, Loki. I think there's more to it than that. Especially because they talk about like the stuff. I know this.
All right, well, I guess we'll find out in a month and a half.
Big deal, but the stuff with the hair sounds very different. So like that takes and they got these other studios to get involved too. So that takes work. There's
Wait,
work
the stuff
going into
with her
this.
hair.
Yeah, they changed something that her hair is more
Fluid?
I don't know.
Harry,
It's more hair-like.
Really?
Yes.
Because I believe that was one of the PC things, if I remember correctly.
I do
take a
have
look,
to. I do
shall
have to
we?
say that there was a difference in as far as when I first loaded up the game with the lower end and then bumped it up all the way. There were a little bit few differences with hair mechanics.
All right,
Hair
well.
mechanics, remember the special thing, hair mechanics.
Yes, I would believe that would be the Tomb Raider Tress FX hair, which is an option on PC that's enhanced hair, both the physics and stuff. So
Hair physics.
That, yes, would be a PC thing. So basically they're taking the PC assets and putting them on next gen. But hey, whatever, that's fine.
You know what hair physics always make me think of? Soul Edge, and the Tekken games when they started doing. You can see the strands of hair. I was like, but it doesn't look like real hair. I have to say that Lara's hair looked like hair. It was very hairy.
Well, I just thought the game in general looked great. So, it already was starting to look, like I don't want to say it looked like next gen, but it looks like it's a great example of what the previous gen consoles were really capable of. So,
and I'm fairly certain because Dan's been seeing me play the game. I've gone back and played it. Tried to get a little bit further because I haven't beaten it yet, but I did play it fairly consistently, and I would love to see Dan play through that. I know he'd enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm sure, and I'm sure there are some people that missed the boat the first time around too. I see in our chat room at live.vognetwork.com, Shane Alinko says, "This is good for me as I didn't play the original release. I'll definitely look into getting this." So, but then there's a part of me that's like, how did you miss the original release when the game was like on sale for a steal on some of the very Steam sales and so forth?
I used my my Steam wallet gift and got it. Like I paid $3 extra for it. So
there you go.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on. More news, Loki.
All right. Let's see. Let's talk a little bit about the Xbox One. Remember one of the things that they kind of talked about, I think it was a few months ago, this whole being able to publish using your Xbox One as like a dev kit. And actually some people figured out how to do that, or at least get into the dev kit mode, and have been dicking around with that. But for the actual devs, they've already listed 33 developers that are participating in their ID at Xbox program, I guess, if you want to call that, including Behavior, which I guess they did Wet and Naughty Bear Panic in Paradise. Wet was a good game. Naughty Bear, not so much. Bongfish, Born Ready, Cappy, which did Super Time Force, Comcept, Crytek, Definition 6, which did Spy Party, Demerge, that Shoot Many Robots, Double 11, Little Big Planet Vita, Double Fine, Drinkbox, Gaijin Games, the Bit Trip series, Half Brick Studios, Fruit Ninja, Happy and Labs, Hidden Path, High Voltage Software, which did the Conduit, which, man, they haven't released anything in a long time. Anise, you may remember them, Elite Beat Agents, anyone? Iron Galaxy, Jackbox Games, Nicholas, which did Cave Story, and VVVV. I didn't know that same guy did both those games. That's pretty sweet. Ninja Bee, Other Ocean, which the Dark Void Zero and Super Monkey Ball games on iOS. Panic Button, which unfortunately did connect Star Wars. Signal Studios, Slightly Mad Studios, Team 17, behind the Worms series. Team Colorblind, The Men Who Wear Many Hats, best name of development house ever. The Odd Gentleman, Vladimir, Way Forward, Z-Boyd Games, and Zen Studios.
If I remember correctly, Nicholas did the 3D. It's either that they published VVVVV or that they brought it to DS or some other platform, because that was Terry Kavanagh, and I'm
maybe
pretty sure
maybe
he self-publishes
they
everything.
published. They might have done the ports then, because I know a lot of these guys are doing ports of things.
And Cave Story did come out on multiple platforms as well.
It's true. The other thing to kind of go along with that, though, is some of the indie publishers are running into, I guess, some of their small print things in this part of this program. For example, not only do you get, I guess, the wonderful, you get 2 console development kits, a Unity license, and the ability to publish your games by yourself. Also, they ask that the games that launch same day on Xbox One and any other console platforms, they say they want launch parity rather than exclusivity. And I guess one of these, though, one of the developers that ran into this, was it Vladimir? Vlambeer. They're saying that one of their games, Nuclear Throne, I guess, was supposed to. They were talking with them about bringing it to the Xbox One, and I guess they maybe wanted it to be exclusive, but somehow because of that, they're actually going to publish it on PlayStation 4. They said, I guess it'll just come out on PlayStation 4 first. I guess they didn't have an Xbox One version available, but they wanted to publish it on that platform later on. But because Microsoft is basically restricting you must launch your game on the Xbox One and then all the other platforms at the same time.
Oh, I see.
So, they didn't want to hold up the other versions of the game for the
Could that be because of what happened with DuckTales? Because, DuckTales didn't come out on Xbox till way after the other versions, and I
don't think it's that. I think they just want to they don't want to be at a disadvantage as far as exclusive versions or something like that. Maybe that's fine, but maybe they just don't want Sony to have a window on that stuff. Microsoft wants to have the window, on Call of Duty DLC and all that bullshit.
Sure, of course.
So maybe that's what the issue is. I think, though, maybe they can get around it by doing, pulling kind of what Microsoft did with, Minecraft, have the Minecraft Xbox One version and then Minecraft PlayStation 4 version. Technically, they're 2 different games, and then they'd be able to publish it later on or something.
Black Wolf says he wants to try to explain this here. The Xbox One wants parity. The loophole, if you are already signed up for another platform, they don't have to wait. So they said, quote, "Oh, they want parity if I sign. Hey, Sony, want a 1-month exclusive?" Quote, "Sure. Okay. Hey, Microsoft, we want to sign up." "Oh, okay, that's fine."
So interesting.
This is a great policy in theory for gamers, consumers, most of all, because it means that no matter what platform you've backed, if your game is coming multi-console, you will get it, and you don't have to spoilers or any other consideration. You don't have to wait on anybody else. But if
maybe
in theory,
because Bobby just pointed out there's a way around it.
Yeah, but as far as games that actually get released on multiple platforms at the same time, if you do not budget your time, and this article basically talks that that the development shop, that Vlambeer was caught off guard, but if you do not budget your time properly, or you just come across this, if you are bound to this, it's going to hurt your firm and potentially your results and potentially the game, because you weren't expecting to have to put almost entirely, literally 2 times the work in for one release date. I love this concept, but like anything else, it has a trade-off that unfortunately gets to be pretty nasty pretty quick.
If I were them, I would just want the least amount of restrictions possible for the developers, because right now the perception is PlayStation 4 is very developer-friendly. Xbox One, I don't think they've quite gotten there yet, where people are kind of recognizing it as a platform that they can find their favorite indie games. I would think they want the least amount of obstacles in between them and getting that, at least at the beginning. Hell, change your rules later on down the line if once you have a decent catalog of indie games. And I'm also kind of disappointed that they kind of got rid of that whole, well, it's kind of a twofold thing. I'm kind of disappointed that they got rid of the whole community games and, the idea of, I can use my Xbox One to publish my own games and stuff. That's really cool. But I understand, that there were a lot of crappy games on that service. At the same time, though, it still would be nice to have that ability to put your own games on there, maybe with some sort of peer review or something like that to filter out, those massage simulators.
Let's clear out the chaff.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on with more information about the Xbox One, because there's a really weird rumor going on out there, and it's just it's one of those things I think is kind of trolling people who can't or who don't understand technology, or I don't know, because there's this weird picture going around out there, and I'm not going to repeat the description here because I don't want to perpetuate a rumor that could potentially damage people's consoles, but it's the equivalent of basically telling people, hey, if you put up, down, left, right, BA star into your Xbox One, you will be able to play Xbox 360 games. And there's people, and I don't want to say that they're dumb enough to believe it, but they're not educated enough on how these systems really work that they actually kind of believe it, because they use the magic words that, you're gonna get into dev console mode on your Xbox One, and it'll unlock the ability to play Xbox 360 games. So let's review. The reason why Xbox 360 games are not playable on the Xbox One is because the chips inside have changed completely. They are different manufacturers now. Correct, Loki?
Yeah, it's different architecture altogether.
Yes.
And actually, see, that surprise, that came from 4chan. And basically, someone stumbled upon the way to get into developer mode, and Microsoft said, hey, don't try to get into developer mode because it will brick your console.
Right.
Because it's 2 parts. Microsoft has to basically, give you the access to this, and then you also have to enable it on your console in order to actually switch it over to kind of like its developer mode. If you don't do it without their access, it causes all sorts of different problems with it.
Yeah, so if you follow the rules, what you're doing, you're not unlocking anything. You're causing your Xbox One to basically do like an infinite loop booting.
Yeah. So it's just some troll thing from 4chan.
So, just to be clear, don't if you read something that's too good to be true, it probably is.
This is the second time in 3 months something like this has happened.
Oh, what was the other one?
The first one? iOS 7 makes your device waterproof.
Wait, what?
That was a
no
thing?
shit.
That was a thing?
I kid
I didn't even
you
hear
not.
that.
If you go to Twitter search and you type
that.
in iOS waterproof, the top tweet minus the fucking LG ad, whatever. If you do that in Twitter search, I actually did this just to kind of make sure I wasn't crazy, and sure enough, the very first tweet in the search results, 4chan convinced people that iOS 7 makes their iPhones waterproof. Now they've convinced people to brick their Xbox Ones with backwards compatibility. iOS 7 came out mid-September, early September. 3 months later, look at this all over again.
I think it's just a lesson that if something is too good to be true, it probably is.
Very. I don't know. It's just interesting to me that there's always been smoke and mirrors, and there's a better terminology for this. There's always been snake oil salesmen.
Yeah.
But these are the internet snake oil
I
salesmen.
use common sense. Why, if they had the ability to play backwards or have full backwards compatibility, they would be totally pimping that shit out.
Yeah.
If not trying to sell it, as a DLC or something, but they would be pimping that shit out.
Yeah,
hey, we have backwards compatibility. Those guys don't. I mean,
why would you lock that away? Yeah, it's just silly. Anyway. All right, let's move on to less silly things.
How about something that's a lot kinder? There's actually an article talking about the Humble Bundle and one of the charities that they've helped out. They've actually been working to bring clean drinking water to Ethiopia. which I think is definitely something positive that we need to be focusing on instead of people being assholes. So basically, they worked with a particular charity that used 100% of the donations to bring clean water, and so now they have 3,275 people in Ethiopia that are going to have clean water, and the total amount was it came up to $121,780. So that's pretty good news. See, we're not all assholes.
I like to hear the gamers doing good stories. And plus, it's kind of nice to see, too. We always kind of like, I think a lot of us, when we're buying these Humble Bundles and so forth, we just kind of click the button and it's like, oh, yay, some of my money's going to good. Pat myself on the back. We don't really see it past that. So I'm glad there's information out there like this to really kind of show, like, here is how the money is really helping. You know what I mean?
And I think it's good that they're being so transparent with how that money is being allocated to and giving us the option. And, it's sort of like, hey, you do something good for somebody else, we'll do something good for you. Here, have some fun. I've always been a big advocate of the charities like that, especially, even though I'm not too fond of Penny Arcade themselves, I've been happy with Child's Play and with a lot of those charities that basically turns our love of games into almost love for other people.
Right.
All
right, let's travel around the world and check out some release dates. And I know this might be a short segment tonight, but we check in every week on what games are coming out in a video game store near you, starting with the U.S. Loki.
The only thing coming out this week is Sorcery Saga Curse of the Great Curry God on PlayStation Vita. Actually, if I remember correctly, there's Dreamfall Adventures, or I think it's Dreamfall Adventures, that's coming out on Xbox 360. It's been delayed forever. Maybe it's being delayed again, but that was supposed to be coming out. And then guess what? That's it for the entire year.
I figured as much. All right, well, in Japan, things are moving a little bit differently because obviously the holidays are a little bit different over there. So, you can pre-order one of these games to go with your Christmas cake if you like. But on PlayStation 3 this week, on December 12th in Japan, some Game of the Year editions, Dishonored, Crysis 3 going into Best Hits, Call of Duty Ghosts gets a dubbed version released this week. As far as new games go, there's a new PlayStation 3 console bundle with Puppeteer that's out this week, and Jinsei Ego 2 Next Generation and Nobunaga no Yabu Suzo comes out this week from Koei. So that's what you can look forward to this week on December 12th as far as PlayStation 3 goes. Let me check out 360. The same Call of Duty Ghosts dubbed version is out there, as well as Dishonored, the Game of the Year edition. That's pretty much it for the 360. Going to the PlayStation Vita, Hatsune Miku Project Diva gets a price reduction. Vita's region free, right? This might be your time to pick it up. So, you folks here in the U.S., if you want your version of Hatsune Miku for the Vita, this might be a good time to pick it up. On the Wii U, the Balance Board USB adapter comes out this week, which I imagine is for Wii Fit U, but I don't know exactly what the Balance Board USB adapter, are they going to let you start plugging that into computers and stuff? I didn't even know that was a thing. You know what? It's not coming out from Nintendo. It's a third party, so it must be some type of...
It's a battery pack, I'm guessing.
Yeah, maybe it's some weird kind of thing. All right, well, that's there. But you can also get Monster Hunter Frontier G in a beginner's package. That's out from Capcom this week on the Wii U. Lastly, but not leastly, on the Nintendo 3DS, Hometown Story, Kirameki Waku Waku Suite, Kobito Zuken Kobito no Fushigi Jiken Set comes out this week. Puzzle and Dragons Z. Is that the same as
Puzzle and Dragons?
I think, is that the same as the cell phone game? I bet it is.
Huh. Yeah?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, it's the same as the cell phone game is getting like a spruced up 3DS version in Japan this week. Also, and probably most importantly this week in Japan on the Nintendo 3DS, Hello Kitty to Maho no Apron Rhythm Cooking comes out this week. That's right. You can cook. It's Cooking Mama meets a rhythm game meets Hello Kitty. I shit you not.
Go back to the name real quick.
I shit you not. I want this game kind of bad,
Rob,
actually.
Go back to the name real quick.
There you go.
No, not there.
Come on, close. Right there.
Hello Kitty with the magic apron.
It's a rhythm cooking game starring Hello Kitty.
And a magic apron.
Why can't I have this? I want this. Give it to me.
You're not worthy.
Why is the 3DS not region free?
Because
You know it'll come out over here.
Bad Batsmaru is making a steak, God damn it. This is amazing.
YYR would like to point out that Project Diva F is being localized and will be eventually released in North America.
Some people can't wait, YYR.
Yeah, well, all those DDR games and 2DX games and whatnot that we have other language writing in.
Telling the wrong show. My Japanese PlayStation 2 says hello. All right, and soon my Japanese 3DS. All right, let's go to the UK, Dark Sakura.
Well, we actually have a good number more in the UK than we did over here. On the 10th is The Novelist for Mac and PC. On the 11th is Angry Birds Go. The 12th is Velocity Ultra for PC. And on the 13th is Stick It to the Man and We Fit You.
Stick It to the Man.
That's the best name ever.
All
I'm going
right.
to name my firstborn Stick It to the Man.
Just a few more stories for you guys, and then the classic game of the week. YYR in chat, by the way, saying, you waited this long. The game's been out over 6 months. That's true because the version that's coming out in Japan this week is like a best hits type of thing. It's a price reduction. And YYR is saying you could get the PlayStation 3 version right now. You know what? I do need to get that game because I said I would buy it when it comes down in price, and I think it finally did. So I want to get Hatsune Miku here. All right, anyway, back to some news before we get to the classic game of the week. Loki.
So, like we talked about last week with Forza 5 and their microtransactions, Gran Turismo 6 also had microtransactions. And Sony, of course, claims that they are not required for players to advance in the game, but you might say the same about the Forza 5 ones. Honestly, I haven't seen how... I've seen far less people complaining about these than the Forza ones, but I'm not really sure why, considering they both sound the same to me. I guess it's how it's presented. They're saying, as with previous installments of Gran Turismo, users are able to earn in-game credits and unlock cars by competing in races. And if you want to buy credits, they are in increments of 500 or 500,000 on the PlayStation Network to speed up the process of unlocking content. So, I don't know. It sucks that there's microtransactions in both games, but like I said, I haven't played either one, so I don't know how they're presented. But that still sucks.
Well, the impression that I'm getting from what I'm hearing about it is that it's really not like something they're trying to shove down your face or anything. Like it's not like the stigma that a lot of free-to-play games have where they're like pay to win and so forth. That's not really what they're doing in this game because it's one of those things. It's optional. You can earn the stuff in game, which is any Gran Turismo game kind of did that, or you can buy it if you are too impatient to wait and unlock the stuff yourself. Here's where I think people get miffed at this kind of thing, because I'm sure there's a lot of you sitting at home going, why is Loki mad? This isn't a big deal. I think some of us feel like, especially some of us that really did the old school gaming and lived through the NES phase and so forth. I remember a day when you would pause the game, press up, down, left, right, BA, start, and now your ship is fully decked out with everything you need to beat the game. And some of us, that's the only way we wanted to play the game, right? Now, if you want the fully decked out ship, you could sign on and pay $3.99 to get the special unlock key.
You know who we have to blame?
That's
you know who started this bullshit? It's always the same company that starts this bullshit. EA. Because remember, it was with, I want to say, The Godfather. The PlayStation 2 version had the codes that you can put in with the controller, just like you would normally. The original Xbox version had the codes you can put in with the controller. Xbox 360 version had the codes, or I should say the cheats, that you buy on the Xbox Live Marketplace. EA is the root of all evil. It's a joke, yes, but in the sense, yes, they are. They are the root of all evil in the gaming industry because they came up with the concept of this Project $10 thing where they would do these online passes. Everybody jumped on that shit. They did this thing with, hey, you know what? We can sell shit that we give away for free on other platforms because people will buy them because they really want to do that stuff. And so let's just sell it. And sure enough, they do it, and it's just gone downhill from there. But they're the ones that always seem to be, I don't know, innovating in that area, I guess, if you will. So yes, I am throwing shade at them because it is ridiculous. And
Did Loki just say on the show that he's throwing shade?
what can I say, Rob? You've rubbed off on me. Okay. So
What's happened?
I know. I'm embarrassed myself.
Well, you did say you had cooties before.
I guess so. All right. Okay. On a much more serious note, because this news sucks. There's really no easy way to put it. An actor named Danny Wells passed away this week, and he was 72 years old. Although you might not recognize the name, you probably recognize the character. He played Luigi on the Super Mario Brothers Super Show when it was on in the 80s.
With Captain Lou.
That's right. Captain Lou, unfortunately, he had passed away a few years ago, so...
the brothers are reunited.
They have both
in
moved
Plumber
on.
Heaven.
Yeah,
No.
So, well, some people though can't bear. They can't stand to not point out the irony that Nintendo had made this the year of Luigi, and this is how it ends.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
I mean, it's kind of one of those like, wow, that joke's kind of sick, but it is awkward. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what word to put on that. It is a little strange that this is the year of Luigi.
John Leguizamo's not dead, is he?
No, John Leguizamo's not dead. He played Luigi in the movie.
Because
He was just in
Red
Kick-Ass
Entertainment just never
yeah,
mind.
Bob Hoskins isn't dead either. So
whatever.
But Danny Wells did pass away this week, so rest in peace, and thanks for the memories from the Super Mario Brothers Super Show. All right, let's travel back to a time in gaming's history.
Can we get a real twisted version of the Super Mario Brothers show with like Danny DeVito playing Mario or something like that?
Never say never. Anyway, I think he's too busy with the Always Sunny in Philadelphia show, though. All right, it's the classic game of the week. It's our chance for us to go into the gaming vault and find a game where Dark Sakura says, hey, why aren't you playing this?
Maybe find a game where Wikipedia isn't making me log in.
I didn't know you had to log in.
Yeah, I didn't think you had to either.
That's
so
weird.
let's see if this reloads. Okay, the classic game of the week is the second of unreleased games that I have spoken about on the show. Although I've mentioned this one many, many times. It's Thrill Kill. Yeah. So it was an unpublished game from 1998 that came out on the PlayStation. And the reason why I'm bringing this one up is the fact that it was really one of the big games that sort of people were able to get a hold of it because of the internet. You know, someone leaked out the version. And since then, we've had, plenty of other games come out. Didn't I bring up before I... Space Fantasy Zone was the other game I had reviewed, but there's been other ones too, like the Crystal Dynamics Macross game, Robotech game that never came out, but people have played it because the prototype's out online. So Thrill Kill is one of those games, and the big thing about this one is that it was supposed to be a 4-player fighting game, which I think it got turned into that Wu-Tang Clan game or something the Engine did. But this one was really a lot more of the BDSM, had a lot more of the fetish thing and a lot more of the, crazy murder, cannibalism. Because
it was gross.
It was gross. And then you had the character Judas, that one of the extra characters looked like Ken and Ryu attached to the torso, with one being upside down or the other. And by the way, that was like the single worst ending of that game too, because that was the first person I beat the game with. So yeah, it was completed before it was canceled, and it did get leaked out, and now people are able to play it on emulators, modded consoles. I mean, we had the Game Shark thing on ours, so we used to use the paperclip, and then after that, we ended up using a Game Shark to play our downloads and stuff like that. So yeah, it was developed by Paradox Development, and then later Midway Los Angeles. And it was supposed to be published by Virgin Interactive, who was acquired by EA Pacific. EA. And then EA canceled the game because they didn't want to publish a senselessly violent game that would hurt their image like they fucking needed it. So anyway.
That guy just, pretended to sodomize the other guy and then kick him in the butt. That's just mean. Oh, she did it too, and then she hit him with an electric prod.
Yeah, that's belladonna.
Jamie, that's gross. This game is so gross,
Okay,
Jamie.
Rob's mom.
Why don't you read a book?
You know what? That video that was on the internet just popped into my mind. Read a book, read a book, read a motherfucking book. Anyway, it was the type of game that it is. It's a closed 3D room, and basically 4 players fight to the death. It has thrill kills, which are like fatalities, and you build up a kill meter. So your bloodlust rises. Ooh, and then you kill somebody and blood. It's gross. So basically, the plot of the story is that 10 souls have gone and descended into hell, and their hell is based off of the real world's sort of deviants, like the BDSM person. You have Cletus, the butcher guy. You have a Dr. Faustus is one of the characters. I was looking in chat room. Now I'm thinking buy some speed stick. It's not expensive. Anyway. Yeah, the chat room is starting to quote that video. Maybe I should have made that the cookie. Anyway. So moving forward is basically each of the characters is a murderer. And they are being judged and so are put into fighting so that one of them can reincarnate. They go in hopes of being reborn. So yeah, the game, it was really like the official U.S. PlayStation Magazine counted as one of the most overrated canceled games, and they were very correct with their quote. It got lots of hype, but it really sucked too. We just played this because it was hilarious. So yeah, I was right. It was remade into Wu-Tang Shaolin style. And the engine was also used for a 2-player X-Men Mutant Academy that was put out by Activision, and its sequel, and Rock'em Sock'em Robots Arena, that was put out by Mattel. And Game Informer linked this 10th on a list of the top 10 games that almost were. It really was very bad. The music in this was done by an industrial band called Contagion, and another group called Dying Fetus did music that was incorporated into the game but was not recorded exclusively for Thrill Kill. And that is the classic game. And I had to bring it up because, again, this was one of the first really big ones that spread because of the internet.
Oh, fair enough.
And so while it was a festering pile of shit, because it really was, it was notable for being internet related.
Some movies are classics because they're so bad, like Showgirls, right? So, a classic game can still be one that, is of questionable taste.
And now I feel
like that one.
Dirty.
Which is gross.
I feel dirty.
Well, maybe you should go read a book. Read a book.
I'll get some speed stick. It's not expensive.
All right. That's going to do it for this first half of the show, but we have plenty more show to come, including the Fugle question of the week, rapid fire news, your emails, your phone calls, much more. And yes, there might even, if you're all good kids, just in time for the holidays, I may have a story near the end about pornography. So stay tuned, and we'll get to all that and more when we come back with more of Orange Lounge Radio. Welcome back, everybody, to Orange Lounge Radio. We are live on this December the 8th of 2013 with the 530th episode of our program. All right, we've had a lot of gaming news so far, but there's plenty more news to come. So let's get right back into it. Loki.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about one of the announcements that was at the whole VGX, and that was that and Cranky Kong is going to be the new character that's joining the roster for Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. Yes, this was the big announcement that Nintendo had been teasing about on Twitter and everybody everywhere else, that they got on the show to share this incredibly important piece of information. Oh, and the release date of February 21st. What a wasted opportunity.
Well, if they've got nothing else to say, I mean...
Then why even bother being there? I mean, seriously.
Well, I don't know. Like, I get the whole, wanting to build hype for the game that's coming out and everything, but I think... And I don't know who's really to blame for this, if it's Nintendo's fault or if it's internet/fans' fault that this was hyped up like, OMG, they're going to show a new Zelda. They're not going to show.
No,
a new
I don't
Zelda.
think that they would do that, but like.
But there were people out there
something.
that was the expectation bar in some people's heads. You know,
It's not even that exciting of news. I mean,
I agree. It was blown up to be way bigger than what it ended up being. But
I mean,
I'm not
this
sure
is
who's
like
really at fault for that.
kind of one of those bullet points that they go, during their Nintendo Directs. Oh, and by the way, we have those exclusive news on a new character for blah blah blah. I mean, it was something that really didn't need to be. He didn't need to go to this show to do that.
I will say, though, that there's a part of me that does kind of see the humor in that Nintendo really hyped up that they were going to give VGX a big exclusive, and then they kind of pooped on that. Like, that is kind of funny in a way. You have to see the humor in that, at least.
That is kind of, I mean, I don't know. I'm sure they would have to have shared the news with them, but it'd been kind of, let's just play make-believe here for a little bit. It would have been funny that they didn't tell them what it was, and so they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna get them on the shows. It's gonna be incredible.
Yeah.
And they dropped the bomb of, hey, and Cranky Kong's and Donkey Kong. What? That's what you had? Seriously?
Scottatron in chat says the host seemed pissed after this announcement, so maybe they didn't.
They
know.
did seem kind of pissed. They're like, oh, what about like news on a Metroid or something like that?
I heard some people on Twitter were saying that it almost came off as rude, like that that they were kind of rude to Nintendo. I mean, again, that could be through fandom lens. I didn't watch it, but what was your impression? Did you see that?
I saw the clip because they had this like kind of edited clip thing of all the moments of the show, all the like shit that went down, and I did see that, and I don't know, my reaction probably would have been the same thing, like, ooh, cool. No, really, what's your special exclusive announcement that you're gonna have? I mean, that was a cool trailer and all of Donkey Kong, but what's your real announcement? Oh, that was the real announcement?
Oh, you're gonna give us a release date? Gruel.
And that's what he said. He's like, hey, but I already gave your release date, and yeah, I caught the joke, and I gave you the release date and this exclusive character. What else did you want? They're like, fuck something else, that's kind of the reaction that it seemed like that they were giving, and yeah, seriously, it's like, who gives a shit? I mean, it's not like it's. I don't know. It's not that big a deal. I mean, yeah, that's cool. It's a playable character.
All I'm saying is that Nintendo may not be the ones to really blame for that. And if you look at it from a trolling perspective, it's great.
I understand that. But who is this? I mean, Nintendo has to understand where their demographic is. Who is watching an award show about video games? Teenagers. Not casual people that play video games. It's people that are fucking dedicated hardcore into video games. They're going to spend the time watching a video games award show, and when you put this out there, no one gives a shit. In fact, it further reinforces the fact that Nintendo just doesn't get what I want.
Yeah, like this would have been a great time to announce. I mean, to be fair, I'm not like
announce a new Smash Bros.
I'm
character.
Not. Yeah, I'm not totally
that,
defending Nintendo here or whatever, because this would be a great opportunity to come out and say virtual console games will now be playable across the internet, and the camera on your Wii U, you can see your opponent. Like, how amazing would that be? Except that is never going to happen.
Or
that's
even
that's what frustrates people about
even
Nintendo.
If you want to do something lame like announce a character or something, do it for a game that your hardcore fan base is actually going to go after, which would be Smash Brothers. Announce a new Smash Brothers character or something. Cranky Kong is a new Smash Brothers character. Okay, that's a little bit more interesting now.
Yeah.
It's just this. Whatever. For me, I'm not buying the game. I don't even own the console, so it's not a big deal. But it's just kind of like, you had the opportunity. You hyped this big thing, and then you could have just.
I've been on the fence about this Donkey Kong game. I don't really, I like the Donkey Kong Country games, but I don't know. I just kind of feel like there'll be other stuff I want to play when this game comes out. This didn't exactly sway me into the must-buy category. Let's just put it that way.
Donkey Kong Country was special when it was on Super Nintendo.
Yes, and I think that's, for me, I'm going to be honest, I think that series is a little played out for me.
Yeah, now it's been there, done that, because there's nothing really advanced graphically or gameplay wise that wasn't done.
But then again, Nintendo does platformers very well. This new Mario game is one of the best of the year.
But this is the thing: is they're kind of saying, hey, new Super Mario Brothers sold pretty well. Let's take the new Super Mario Brothers gameplay and we'll inject it into yet another game. And that's kind of what they're doing. It's like, oh, hey, 4-player co-op. is what's going to be in this game. I'm assuming because they have another character now. Yeah, so there's going to be 4-player co-op in this. It's basically new Donkey Kong Country. That's kind of what it seems like to me.
So much for rapid fire news.
ActDeft made the same point based off the description of the character he saw. He made exactly the same point that I was going to. Scrooge McCranky Kong.
Kinda.
Oh.
All right, let's move on.
Anyways, Final Fantasy VIII came out on Steam. Some people hated it. Some people loved it. It's $11.99. Same price as Final Fantasy VII. That's it. Oh, and they tweaked some things. The Chocobo World thing that was a Pocket Station thing, that's actually now synced with the game. I guess you can launch that and play that as well. And then they also have the option to, I think, boost your magic in the game to like level 100 just by putting an option in to make it, I guess, easier so you don't have to draw as much.
Thank
That's
God.
welcome. That's a welcome change.
Okay, now I might buy it.
Yeah, now this changes everything. Bum bum.
Rob, we need to let's play.
I'll think about it.
Okay.
All right. And then
when it goes on sale. I got to read a real quick comment in the chat about the Nintendo thing, and it's really good, so I need to get this out there. SR200 Matt says, but you know what? Nintendo still makes bank, so they don't have to announce anything. Sadly, it bothers people because Nintendo comes off like the old uncle who keeps giving their nephews the same gift every year for Christmas the past 20 years.
I like it when that gift is money.
I thought that analogy was pretty clever. Anyway.
Well, Nintendo's, I mean, to be fair, Nintendo, if we're going to go back to that, Nintendo is starting to serialize their Mario games. We give all these other companies shit for releasing yearly released games. Nintendo's kind of done that with Mario. It's starting to get kind of redundant. Like, I mean, Mario games are good and stuff, but let's mix it up. Like, I would love to see a new franchise from Nintendo. I would love that, instead of Mario, Metroid, Zelda, Kirby, I guess.
I would almost buy that argument except for two big reasons. A, the Mario games are almost bar none some of the best of the year every single time they come out. And, you don't hear that about a Madden game or even about DDR or whatever serial game you want to talk about because that Mario 3D World is on point. And, if they can crank out something like that then every year, then bring me it every year because that game is fucking amazing. B, Nintendo has tried some other franchises, and they flopped. Steel Diver.
Have they really tried? Was that really an attempt? They put it out as, a somewhat launch title for the 3DS, and then that was it. They didn't support it any further than that. It wasn't really an attempt.
Nintendo Land. Monita isn't exactly going to be an in-demand Smash Brothers character. Let's be real. Monita's a little done. Monita's going to get unplugged after that one. Come on.
I don't know. I just think that there's a lot more they could be doing. Final Fantasy Realm Reborn. PlayStation 4 version is going to launch April 2014. At least that's what's been announced in Japan.
Well, we found when you're going to get your system again, Rob.
Right.
I think it's probably most likely going to probably around the same time for North America as well. So that's exciting.
And that was a 100% completely accurate statement by Jason.
YYR makes a very good point. How about a new Star Fox that plays like Star Fox?
How about a new F-Zero?
Developed by Nintendo. Yes.
All right. Well, here, I have some Nintendo news that, might change things a little bit, but honestly, this one, not really, because Gianna Sisters Twisted Dreams could be coming to Wii U in 2014, some of the new DLC for the Wii U. Gianna Sisters Twisted Dreams, it's a good game, but it's like this isn't the type of news that's really going to turn a lot of heads. It's just, okay, cool, indies on Wii U, still going there, and it's nice to hear about DLC actually working on Wii U. So, cool. So there you go. They do say now in an interview with the studio head Arian Gorsh, says that the Wii U version is more fun than other console versions because it was revised for a cleaner cut, and they say the Wii U is the best console for indie releases. That's what makes this noteworthy, if nothing else, is that, even though some big studios are turning away and shunning the Wii U, some of the indies really, really love it. Some other people that really, really love the Wii U, Time Magazine. And usually I wouldn't note these types of things, but when it's coming from something that's a little more mainstream and not like gamer or tech focused, like Time Magazine, and granted, they have different sections, but Time Magazine came out with an article that said, these are 10 reasons why this holiday season you should get a Wii U. and not a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox One. And this isn't really something that the media at large is really talking about, because everybody's focusing on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Like, a lot of people kind of already written off Wii U, but Time writer Matt Peckham came out and said, you know what, here's some reasons why you should choose the Wii U. It boils down to this. Number one, it has the games you want to play now. Number two, and it'll have the games you want to play next year. Number three, the Wii U gamepad is a portable console. That's a little sketch.
And I'm also kind of
If by
scratching.
portable you mean within your house, then maybe.
And I'm also scratching my head at the games you want to play next year and the games you want to play now. Because what if those games have to be from EA? Then you're not playing those games.
Number four, it is $300, which is $100 less than the PlayStation 4, so it's the cheapest. Number five, there's no annual subscription fee. Number six, it's high def enough. Number seven, Wii U games are cheaper on balance. I think that has to do with DLC and all that. Number eight, Nintendo has the eShop. Sony and Microsoft have nada. That makes no sense to me, where he was going with that bullet point. Because
Yeah, I
think
didn't
this
get
whole
that one
article's
either. I
kind
straight
of-
up laughed at that one.
This whole article seems kind of
well,
fancy.
yes, but I think there's too many people that have written off the Wii U, when I think in some ways the Wii U does make a decent case where it could be the system this year.
Here.
And you could wait on the other systems till next year.
I'll
Because
tell
it
you-
does have more games that are available, period.
I'll tell you what. Since I was such a great marketing person for the PlayStation 4 last week,
All right.
allow me to provide my services for the Wii U. The Wii U is a good choice if for your family. It has a lot of great family games, and especially if you love the Nintendo games that you played a long time ago. It's going to have a lot of your favorite classics and stuff, and that's what you're looking for. This is going to be a great console for you. Plus, the second screen controller is awesome when someone wants to watch TV or play something else or whatever. I mean, it's great as far as that goes. And yes, it is cool that you don't have to pay for an online subscription for their online service. So that's a plus. And also, a lot of the games are going to be cheaper. Usually. Then again, also there's, I don't know, I should say a lot more family-friendly options for the Wii U. And what else could I possibly say?
If you like Mario and Zelda games that much, get one.
It's
Period.
also the only console that's kind of focused on family gameplay and more local gameplay as well. And it's also a console that's very friendly to indie games, so you're going to find a lot of the games that have the same features and kind of gameplay that you've...
That's funny, because that was Dude's number 9. It has an indie lineup. It has a decent indie lineup. By the way, just to clarify the eShop thing, the writer was talking more about the virtual console and the backwards compatibility, where you can play the Nintendo, Super Nintendo, and Wii games, all because of virtual console. It wasn't so much the fact that it has an online store. It was more what's available in that store, the classic games. And then number 10, his reason is that it is more than just a game system with the whole TV and remote integration. Again, that bullet point's a little bit shaky, because Xbox One, you can do the whole watch TV in your Xbox. I mean, I don't see where. I mean, I like. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking what Wii U does, because that TV stuff where you can chat during big TV events is different. It's neat, but it's not. I don't think it's nearly as strong of a bullet point as some
I
of the
think
others.
if you're honestly looking, if you're buying your console for your family and you haven't bought a game console ever or in a long time, I say your best option is probably to go PlayStation 3 and Xbox or Xbox 360. They're going to be cheaper than the Wii U. There's a lot more games, a lot cheaper games out there, and they're going to have the games you're going to want to play this year and next year as well. Plus, you can use it for TV and all that other stuff. Not knocking the Wii U as far as that goes, but they just don't. They have games that, they have the Nintendo games, and you're only going to be able to find them there. And,
all right, we got to get past this.
Buy a 3DS. There you go.
Right. The things that Nintendo has to work on, according to the article, just to be fair, drop the system price again. We need a new Killer Zelda or Metroid or new Nintendo IP we haven't seen before, almost echoing what we just said, and needs more third-party games, which I really don't know how they're going to get out of that one. It may take throwing money at people. We'll see. All right, one other thing I want to talk about.
Wait a second. I gotta ask here. It says thanks, Colette, at the bottom there, and then the very top though, it's written by a guy named
This particular website was tipped off from somebody else, probably.
Colette tipped off My Nintendo News about the Time article.
Okay, got it. Matt
yeah.
Peck. Okay, okay. So that I should have looked where I don't know. It just seemed very vague.
It was very thrown, extended, multiple circle. Yeah.
All
right. Moving on. There's some news about the Typing of the Dead DLC for Typing of the Dead Overkill. This time, now you might be thinking, Rob, didn't you talk about this last week? But no, this is different because this one is free. Free DLC as opposed to having to pay for it. So this DLC will turn the game's phrases into lines of commentary from Football Manager. So if you want to type football phrases such as horror leg break, spooned it over, agent's fees, little flick off, Manchester Derby. If you want to type any of those phrases, you can do that. It's cute and it's free, so cool. Dark Sakura, what do you have for us?
I have some stuff. First of all, for fans of the East series, there is a fan translation for East 5 that was... It never came out in the U.S. It came out in 1995 on the Super Famicom, and instead of the type of combat that the earlier East games had, it was a lot more Zelda-like, for lack of a better description. And since basically, and if I do remember correctly, I think it's the same group that did East 4 Dawn of East. So if you want it, go get it. Also, Ultra Street Fighter 4 will actually be available as a digital upgrade that is going to be for $14.99 in early June. That's also the same price in terms of euros, so they're actually kind of getting it a little bit cheaper than... No, they're getting it more expensive than we are, so oops. So you can get the full bundle, however, for $40. And I watched the location testing for it. Some pretty neat stuff. Poison actually is pretty badass. And then for Video Games Live, Akira Yamaoka is going to be at the Dubai show on December 13th. So if you're there, film it and send it to me. And stalk him for me because, yeah. I mean, no.
All right.
Wait.
What?
Yamaoka did the soundtrack or some aspect thereof to BioShock? Resident Evil? I'm confused about this.
I think that's just some of the other stuff that they're playing.
Be there.
That his spin on it could be.
Maybe.
Could be. It's either his spin on it or it's just something that Video Games Live plays the music from that stuff.
I was very confused for a moment. Continue.
I think, it's Video Games Live. Probably.
Yeah. All right, let's get into the Foogle question of the week. You take Facebook, you take Google, you smash it together, you get Foogle.
It's Radio
Let's go to our question, as we do post every week on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Orange Lounge Radio, or google.com/plus Orange Lounge Radio are the places where you can follow us on the social networkings. And we thought this week, in honor of Danny Wells, who passed away this week, we thought we'd ask a question about 80s and 90s television shows based on video games and gaming culture. You guys have your favorites, I'm sure. Did you watch any of them growing up? What were your favorites? Do you have any memories you want to share about those games? So let's get to it. Just a couple answers here over on Google+. Reddertainment says, wait, I thought John Leguizamo died. I remember John from my first hangover when I watched Land of the Dead because it was on TNT and I didn't want to move. That was a nice way to spend a Tuesday afternoon. I think there was rumors.
Somebody else from Land of the Dead died, though.
There was rumors about him a few years ago, but it's not true. Just like the kid from the Wonder Years is not Marilyn Manson, and what other big rumors are out there? Anyway. All right, Act Deft replied on Google Plus and says, as many will probably say, I watched the Super Mario Bros. Super Show, though I always waited anxiously every Friday for the Legend of Zelda episode. It was cheesy as hell, but it was the 80s, so excuse me, princess. But my favorite video game show or cartoon from back in the 90s is probably Sonic the Hedgehog or Sonic Saturday AM. That series was freaking awesome. I also lived for Zelda Fridays myself. That was, like, if I were to answer this question,
yeah.
Zelda Fridays were where it was at. That and Somebody had said it here on Facebook. I'll read this answer from Degenerate Johnny because this is my other answer. If I could name one video game show from my childhood, it would be Starcade. It was an 80s game show, pun intended, that challenged the skills and video game knowledge of gamers, which was a real treat to watch. Back in the good old days of G4, the network re-aired old episodes of Starcade, which brought back fond memories I felt when I first saw the show. That would also be my other answer. I loved game shows. I lived for game shows growing up. I watched Game Show Network when I could, when it was, early available, or USA used to show a bunch of old game shows too. I remember that. And so, yeah, I loved that show. And honestly, it would be my dream. If I could do anything in my little broadcasting career, quote unquote, getting to host a remake of Starcade would be my ultimate dream in life. But, I know that's going to be a little bit difficult to do, but if you ask me, what do you really want to do more than anything? I would love to host a resurgence of that show, Starcade, because that show was awesome. Unfortunately, with arcades kind of on their way out, I don't know. It would have to be focused on retro games or something. Maybe with the King of Kong and how well that does and all that. Who knows? All right. Anyway,
Barcade.
Yeah, you never know, or a barcade. Let's see, some other answers here. KJ says, very fond memories of GamePro TV, Captain N the Game Master, Super Mario Bros. Super Show, and the short-lived Legend of Zelda cartoon. Although I used to yell at my TV when those kids were playing video game challenges on Nick Arcade, mainly because those kids couldn't play Neo Geo games to save their lives.
Or any other system for that matter.
Amen.
Tiger Claw says, as a kid growing up in the 80s, I remember watching Saturday Supercade, a block of cartoons based on classic 80s arcade games like Donkey Kong, which was Mario's first appearance on TV. I remember watching all cartoon versions of the first 3 Super Mario games as well. Captain N the Game Master was also my favorite series growing up. Ronnie B says, Pokemon, if that counts. Why not? It does. Let's see. Fifth Dream says, I like the crap out of the Q*bert cartoon when I was a kid, and I still get the theme song from the Pole Position cartoon stuck in my head now and then. I also liked a Dragon Quest anime called Dragon Warrior that I recorded every week on VHS.
You know what? I just mentioned Q*bert in the chat room.
Yeah.
Because I used to watch that too, because it was sort of like they're on another planet, but they're based off of 50s American culture. And Pac-Man.
Jonko, one of our friends from Koopa Club, replied and said, I used to watch Captain N every morning before school, and then when I came home, I'd run around with my NES controller wrapped around my waist like a belt, brandishing my zapper. I convinced myself that I was going to be Captain N when I grew up. 20 years later, I made it happen through the magic of cosplay. Awesome. And by the way, I just want to point out Jonko's little icon right now, his little user picture, is his Captain N cosplay. So props to you. One more answer here from Rageinator, who said, yeah, I watched stuff like Captain N, Super Mario Bros. Super Show, and its ilk back in the late 80s and early 90s. Even then, I thought that the quality of shows were kind of crappy, but considered the overall lack of any real meaningful choices of gaming-related programming, I felt resigned to picking the less crappy of the crappy. Those are some of the answers from Facebook. If you want to see the rest, facebook.com/Orange Lounge Radio. Any other shows that y'all want to bring up? I think the chatters hit on mine.
Well, there was the Pac-Man one.
Yeah.
Even the Christmas special, which I actually went back and watched. It was horrible. And, I watched Captain N. I hated how the characters were characterized, but I loved seeing the different worlds that they'd go to. I thought the Game Boy was stupid. And while it isn't a video game one, it's definitely one of those 80s things that had to do with the whole pop music thing. I actually liked Kid Video. Do you remember that?
I do. And there was another game show where at the end, if they did well, they would run through and grab like all the video games they could.
With the Velcro vest?
Yes. God, somebody in chat will shout it out.
I used to watch that every Saturday.
Yeah, that was the other big video game show. That one was awesome.
And then I watched GamePro TV, especially when they did the Neo Geo review, because I used to have that one on tape. Nice. And then I moved out here, and Dan had a Neo Geo. And I was like, holy shit, these exist! So it was pretty funny. And I loved, I really liked Pole Position, which I've got all of that downloaded.
Thank you, Tiger Claw. Video Power was the name of it.
Video Power, that was definitely it.
Did we used to have a listener named Vid Power?
We did.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, we did, yeah.
a couple. There was another one that I used to.
Nick Arcade.
Nah.
Well, what about you guys? Well, she's thinking Loki, Jason. Anything you want to throw out there?
I missed most of those, and I think that's because I'm just a few years younger than you guys. I wasn't.
Rub it in.
I don't.
Nick Arcade, though, I was like a teenager when that was out.
Well,
so you had to be.
That's been rerun to fucking infinity, unlike every other show.
True.
So Nick Arcade was what I lived for. There was one that made me react in similar ways that wasn't actually video game related. I caught it on Fox Family, ABC, whatever that network has been, called Masters of the Maze. It was a trivia game, and you run through the maze with this big suit, and your assistant uses the joystick to tell you which way to go, and you have all these gadgets and doodads on your vest that don't actually do anything, and a blinder visor. It was silly. Love Nick Arcade. When I was thinking about shows that I used to watch, PBS had this after-school special show called Square One, and they had
yes. That show was the bomb. Math Man.
Yeah.
That show was the shit.
That came to mind as soon as you guys were talking about Q-Bert.
And MathNet. That was like one of my favorite shows.
MathNet was awesome.
I used to fucking run the fuck home so I could watch Square One. Like, what a nerd! I'm running home to watch educational programming, but that show was the shit.
I am glad people are reacting to the show.
Yes.
Because I've never ever heard of it.
In chat room, I'm sure they're lighting up too. There was that, and then 3-2-1 Contact was huge.
Oh, 3-2-1 Contact.
I was a little too young for Electric Company. I don't remember that as much. But.
Yeah, I remember Electric Company. So that one was definitely one for me. But I'm trying to
all right.
Now I'm actually having to pull up a list to remember.
Hold on. I've got something for Jason. You ready? You ready, Jason?
You've already seen this much of Square One TV. How much do you figure is left?
It says 0.44 on the screen. Here we go.
Madman, your mission is to eat only multiples of 6.
Huh?
When you encounter a number, you'll have until the count of 3 to make your decision.
Is that Don
and
Adams?
beware the devious
Doesn't
Mr.
sound like him.
He'll eat you if you are wrong.
Oh, no, not the glitch.
Mathman,
Why did they ever
Mathman,
turn this into an actual
Mathman,
game?
Mathman.
Like we had
Right.
72. Is that a
There's
multiple
one
6?
now.
Quick. 72? He ate it. He's right. Okay. Why
This is why they didn't turn it into a game.
Mathman.
I can't even keep saying
They had number munchers.
I think so.
Yeah, but that wasn't.
He ate 44.
Mathman.
Death sentence.
Okay, so I was looking up other ones, Rob, and there was like a really crappy Street Fighter cartoon, American done, that wasn't, actually as good as any of the anime were. And I know that I think that the game was based off of, there was Battletoads, which was pretty funny. There was a Mortal Kombat cartoon that was really awful. And Double Dragon.
Our buddy from Video Game Realness, Mega Man 400 is in chat saying no one watched the Mega Man cartoon because nobody mentioned it.
I remember wanting to watch it.
I don't remember it.
I think I caught like 5 minutes of it while I was. It was absurdly early in the morning, so I woke up, caught a pinch of it, and fell back to sleep.
Wow, Queen Simia says they have an updated Electric Company going on now. Do they really?
I have to see.
Kind of awesome.
'Cause I love the Electric Company.
All right.
The Square One stuff, though, just to say, we actually had this thing for my homeroom that was Square One for school, where we would get a news alert thing.
Yeah.
And then they would show like the Math Man, and they would show just little segments, and then and this is what's going on with science right now. So we'd get kind of like a special version of Square One at school. So it was kind of cool.
We are currently being yelled at and lectured by Mega Man 400 in chat for the lack of the Mega Man cartoon. At some point, I guess I'll have to check that out.
I love PBS.
Tiger Claw says there were cartoons that were single-shot episodes. Even Bubsy had one. Oh, God.
Wow.
Bubsy 3D?
Act Deft, no.
What does Act Deft say?
I loved Reboot 2 as a kid. I tried to rewatch it on Netflix. It was terrible.
All right. We got to move on. There's still more gaming news to get to. We could do an entire 3-hour episode about children's TV shows that we grew up on, and maybe that'll happen over the holidays when it's really slow. That could be like a good list. But for now, we got to get to more gaming news. So
Loki,
Loki,
you know what we just need to do?
Huh.
We need to do a spin-off show called 30-something radio. 30
Right?
The geeks who were in their
Right.
30s, the radio show.
oh my God, that you might be onto something, Dark Sakura. There's
Copyright Jamie,
patent pending.
2013 through 14.
Patent pending.
All rights reserved.
All right. Loki.
Tout droits réservés.
So the launch of Battlefield 4 hasn't been that great. Apparently, they've had server issues like crazy, and DICE has been just kind of trying to get things fixed. So to kind of help with that, they have halted work on everything but Battlefield 4. So I guess that's gonna delay that Mirror's Edge reboot and Star Wars Battlefront. And also the expansions for Battlefield 4. They want to get the game working, ASAP. We know we still have ways to go with fixing the game. It is absolutely our number one priority, and the team at DICE is working nonstop to update the game. And we know players are frustrated, and we feel your pain. We will not stop until this is right. So it's good to see that they're taking charge. It's too bad that it took a whole, almost 2 months before they did that.
Yeah, I'm not a Battlefield 4 player myself, but I have heard there have been some issues. So that's and Codeman says the servers are shit on PlayStation 4.
EA game and servers are shit. Say it ain't so.
To be fair, a lot of games have launch problems. My beloved Final Fantasy XIV Realm Reborn was kind of a shit-tacular experience the first couple weeks because of similar issues.
Couple weeks. This game's been out for like 6 weeks now.
No, games... Well, I have a skewed perspective because A, I actually played 1.0, and B, the beta went on for so long. I was in that.
No, I meant Battlefield 4.
Oh, Battlefield. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. They didn't get on it as fast as they should have. I agree with that. All right. So anyway, moving on with some other news. This story is about a beloved system of mine, the Commodore 64. Yes, I have Commodore 64 news tonight. Ha! This is cool because Paul Kohler and Mikkel Hastrup, who did a port of Super Crate Box, which was called Super Bread Box, they did a port of Super Hexagon. That is, which was a more recent game, but they actually ported that to the Commodore 64. So let me actually play a little bit of this in studio. It doesn't really do anything at the beginning, but then when it gets into the video here a little bit, check out that sweet Commodore 64 synth music. When it gets a little further here in the video, maybe. But you can actually play this in an emulator, or you can actually play it on a regular system.
Nice.
I'm rocking out. I know what I'm going to play this week. Props to you guys for doing this. This looks great for a Commodore 64 game.
I wonder if Terry Kavanaugh likes the Commodore 64, considering that his two last titles have been Commodore 64 looking games. For those who did not know,
I think a lot of
Super
people.
Hexagon and VVVVV.
I think a lot of people were influenced by the Commodore 64.
Easily,
to be honest.
that was actually with the exception of educational games and maybe one or two other random things like Vet, which I talked about 3 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
I never owned a Commodore 64, so I'm pretty distanced from like tape loading and actually understanding its extent of BASIC that you have to use and all that kind of stuff. But I loved the games I played on Commodore 64. Space Taxi, Beachhead, I want to say it was Top Gun, but it was something dogfight-like. And then this...
I used to play the hell out of this game, and it was by the makers of Beachhead. I need to do a Let's Remember video for this. Plug. Maybe I'll do that this week.
It's a good week for YouTube.
Yeah. It was by the makers of Beachhead. They did a game. It's kind of wrong if you think about it, but it was definitely a relic of the 80s. It was a game called Raid Over Moscow. Did you ever play this?
Doesn't sound
It was a
familiar.
game where, like, literally there's nuclear warheads being launched out of Moscow into America, and you're kind of going to stop it from happening. And it's kind of controversial at the time when it came out. But anyway, I don't know why are we on this topic. Sorry,
Commodore 64 games.
You got me on Commodore 64 kick, and then you said Beachhead, and I was like, oh, did you know the Beachhead makers made this game?
It's that.
Anyway. Or we could just listen to awesome chiptune songs that were made on the Commodore 64.
I'm down for that.
Ooh, could somebody write a new OLR theme in the Commodore 64? Sid Chip, that would be rad.
Do it.
I can ask.
Doesn't Bobby do some of that
Awesome.
stuff?
Maybe. All right. Anyhow, oh, good. I'm not the only one that remembers. Dungeon Buster in chat says that's a great game. Remembers that one. I always flew the plane into the wall. The very first thing you have to do is fly the plane out of a hangar because you got to get a plane out there. And I always crashed it into the wall because I was 7 and awful at video games. But anyway, let's move on. Dark Sakura, what do you have for us?
I'm actually. We're still talking about cartoons in chat, and I will freely admit that I loved Vehicle Voltron. And now I'm actually trying to find subtitled copies of Die Ruger 15 that it was based off of. So I've got all of Go Lion, which is fucking depressing. So this is a little bit it's related to video games in the terms that it uses the Kinect, but there is a robot called Russell that is it was created by scientists at looks like a Vanderbilt University in Tennessee that uses the Kinect sensor to work with autistic kids. And basically, and for people who don't really understand autism very well, basically the biggest thing with just about any range of it is having problems with social cues and being overwhelmed very easily by sensory information. And with looking at a human face, there's a lot of information that a person can miss, but working into understanding movements and interaction with a robot that has limited forms of interaction itself has been helping a lot of these kids acclimatize better into neurotypical society. So it's pretty neat. There's a quote in here from one of the scientists behind it that says, autistic children understand the physical world much better than the social world. So since this isn't as complex as a human being, the child isn't overstimulated. But the fact that it's using the Kinect to sense the child's movements and react to it is, I'd have to say, a pretty good application for the technology. So
it's nice to hear about what the technology for gaming is kind of doing for good out there, especially when there's been a lot of dogging on Kinect lately because it's a required part of Xbox One and there's really not a lot of games using it. So it is kind of nice to hear some of these other stories that help kind of this is why this technology is awesome. So
exactly. And I think that in this case too, where like I said, where a human can basically give way too much information for especially a more advanced autistic case, having a robot that's giving much limited information is a lot easier to process and better for integration. So our robot overlords will be kind to us.
All right, let's move on. A few more stories before we get to the mailbag. Loki.
All right. So as I mentioned in my gaming week, I did play a little bit of Just Cause 2, the multiplayer mod. It's right now, they're doing their final beta test of the servers and stuff this week. And it will be launching officially on Steam December 16th. And they haven't given a price to it yet. I don't know if it's going to be free or if it's just going to be something that there's a fee to. But so far, so good, and it's pretty fun. So look forward to that, I guess, in a couple weeks. And if you can, definitely join up in the beta if they haven't closed that out yet. I think jc-mp.com, and you can sign up there and get a Steam key to get the latest client there. So recommend you do that if you haven't already, because it's fun.
You've talked enough about that here on this program.
Just in the last week
your
or
excitement
so.
for it makes me kind of want to play it.
It's
because I bet I can get
like
the game super cheap.
I skipped.
Unlike Grand Theft Auto 5, is still a little pricey.
I skipped Just Cause 1, but
yeah.
I like Just Cause 2 is the longest adventure hunt collectible game that I've played ever, and I got to 94, 95, maybe 96% completion. Finished the story, started a second playthrough. Like, this game is one that I'm actually going through completion on. The frustrating part is that the game is bugged and you literally cannot reasonably get 100% collection in that game. But this sounds fucking awesome. So sad it's Windows only, PC only. and Windows only.
Well, here's a game that you'll probably only be able to experience on PC only pretty soon, although not if the publishers are able to get their way. It's Skullgirls, which I know a lot of people have been talking about. This game is by publisher Autumn Games, and here's the thing. They are terminating their business deal with Konami, because Konami was the ones that actually got the game distributed and got it onto the Xbox Live Arcade and onto the PlayStation Network. Well, because they are severing their ties with Konami has asked that the games be delisted. So Skullgirls will be removed from the PlayStation Network on December 17th and off Xbox Live Arcade before the end of the year when the contract expires. Now, unfortunately, what's happening with this whole thing is that they want to replace Skullgirls with a different self-published build that actually has some of the improvements that the PC update had in it. They're trying to get that out ASAP, but I get the sense they might have been blindsided by this a little bit, that this is going to happen so fast, because the design director for Skullgirls, Mike Zamet, said that the delisting is kind of like Final Fantasy VI's magic user casting Ultima before he dies. So it is a bit of a thing, but I mean, if you're going to end an agreement, these things are going to happen. So I'm not really sure what to think in this particular scenario. I just hope that I think it's good that they're going to kind of at least make the new version a little better, and they're going to bring some of the improvements over. So that's pretty cool, and so they'll get that up there. They need to get it in, I guess, like next week, before PlayStation quality assurance closes for the holidays, if they don't want there to be a gap. But I think the reality is there's probably going to be a little bit of a gap before this game's available again. But maybe they can kind of make lemonade out of lemons, or whatever the hell you want to call it, by kind of using this as like another way to kind of relaunch the game and get it out there.
Rob, when life gives you lemons, you demand to see life's manager.
When life gives you lemons, you mix it with vodka. Just saying.
And then burn their house down with the lemons.
And then
I like this guy.
Squirt it in their eyes. All right. Let's travel to the mailbag. I figured I knew ActDeft was a fan of Skullgirls, by the way. ActDeft in chat says support the Steam version. So you do still have a way you can support this game if something. All right.
I was actually tempted to get it. So
yeah.
Yeah.
It looks fun. I haven't had a chance to grab it yet.
I just had a couple of friends on my Tumblr who were super obsessed with Skullgirls.
Yeah.
So I know a lot more about the backstory of the game without ever having played it. So.
All right, let's go to the mailbag. Every week, you guys email us. Mailbag@orangeloungeradio.com is the place to send us emails. And the Dark Soccer will go to the email bag. She's going to dive in head first. Geronimo.
It's sticky.
Gross. And she's going to see what emails are in there tonight. We have a lot tonight,
Oh, my
right,
God. We got one from an old school listener.
Yay, I love old school listeners.
Do you remember...
I love new school ones, too, though, for the record.
Do you remember Asian Buddy Paul?
Yeah.
Hey, OLR. I was talking about gaming news at work one day and wondered how the podcast was doing. I'm glad you guys are still going very strong. And that's from Asian Buddy Paul.
Well, that literally was an email just saying, hey. Hey.
Sup, OLR?
Sup, bro?
How you been?
Bitches?
Cool. Yeah, we're still here. We're just a little older.
Okay.
A lot older.
This comes from Robert M. Last episode, you were musing about dubstep Christmas music. I got a sample music track a year ago. The Capital Kings version of Carol of the Bells, easily one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard.
I have heard that, and in fact,
pause for Rob to look it up on YouTube and play a podcast.
Oh my God, that's exactly what I was
doing. And
for
Jamie's ears to recover.
They have that actually at this. There's a court nearby that decorates lights in all their houses, and they have one guy that has that synced up to music. That song actually.
I think I saw this in a YouTube ad of all things, just in the last couple of days.
Oh, silly YouTube!
Ad block plug.
All right, well let me get to it. All right, here we go. I'll skip ahead a little bit in the song here. This doesn't sound anything too crazy. Let me skip a little further.
Blub, blub.
Oh, there you go. Build up. Come on.
That should be right there. That's what I want to record on all of my, Christmas cards. You know how they have the audio Christmas cards and stuff like that? Right there. Merry Christmas! And then it drops the bass right there. Okay, maybe it wasn't that one. He had actually a really cool Christmas song that was dubstep, but I don't think it was that. That wasn't very good.
Wow.
Okay. Which brings me to this most likely non-video game question. Is there Christmas music you enjoy any time of the year regardless of your own traditions? For me, it's the Sonic Santa Claus and They Might Be Giants cover, Tchaikovsky Nutcracker Suite, and of course Vince Giardi's A Charlie Brown Christmas soundtrack. Keep up the great show. No, I hate Christmas music, to be honest. I really do. I never liked it. Except like Bing Crosby. I love the crooners.
I get a little bit annoyed with it. It's not that I really hate Christmas music. It just goes on too long. Like, Christmas music should be like...
I'm tired of Mariah Carey.
The week of Christmas. That's it. Not December 1st, and certainly not the day after Halloween. The week of Christmas. That's enough.
I've got a kind of a weird one that I like. I actually like the soundtrack to Toys.
Yes, Toys had a really good soundtrack, but I mean,
they had like it's not really Christmas, but I mean, Christmas themes.
It was light and fluffy and airy for some of those.
But they had like there was that one song.
It was Tori Amos too.
It was
did a couple tracks.
It was the one that they had like the choir of kids singing or something like that. That one's like pretty cool. And Hans Zimmer. I mean, Hans Zimmer's fucking awesome. What can you say?
No, for the record, there is a Hanukkah song. There's actually a couple of Hanukkah songs I will listen to, and one of them is the Maccabeats music rewrite for Candlelight. And I will listen to Miracle because I freaking just love Matisyahu anyway. He's awesome.
Holy shit. I didn't realize there were so many great artists on this. They had Frankie Goes to Hollywood. I didn't even fucking know he was on that. That's pretty sweet.
Hans Zimmer.
I will have you know, I am getting lectured in a private message by Shayna Linko about dissing Christmas music, apparently, which I just did. Shayna Linko, by the way, bought Skylanders on the PlayStation 4 this week just so he could get his Christmas Skylanders character. Just saying. That boy is obsessed with Christmas.
I've just been ignoring all my villagers talking about Jingle.
You know they do.
Except I'm writing down what presents they want for Toy Day.
You know they are selling that Skylander character separately in a couple weeks, by the way.
I'm sorry. Ikuma JP says, "Oh my god, in Japan, all Mariah Carey all the way. I hate shops that play that song." Yes, Kmart has been playing it on repeat, and the only reason I'm going to Kmart is because it's right around the corner from my freaking house, and they were the only place that had long underwear.
There was another one, Boy George, that's a big favorite in Japan too.
There is a Christmas track I will listen to. It was Pet Shop Boys, all over the world. Christmas mix. Rob, you need to find that for me because I will listen to that one.
No more Christmas music. What's next?
A kind of long email from AZHP. I'll go ahead and read it.
He writes good stuff.
Hey, OLR crew. Maybe I should channel my mother and use the accent.
No, just read the email.
AZHP here. I just listened to that bit at the top of this week's show where a listener wrote in saying you guys shouldn't be biased towards Sony or against Xbox. I think that's a load of crap. Anyone who has been listening to this show for any length of time knows you guys want every console to succeed. It would be great if every console launched issue-free, had great games that you were dying to play, and were controversy-free. But the problem is that's not the case. When passionate people like yourselves feel that a company you believed in isn't delivering what you feel they're capable of, you respond passionately. Loki has like 4 Xbox 360s. He plays GTA 4 every day on one. So why shouldn't he be upset that Microsoft borked the Xbox One launch? It would be more surprising if he wasn't upset about it because he feels so passionately about the company. We hate because we love. If we take it all back to the very beginnings of OLR, Konami practically could do no wrong by us, even if they never launched a better version of DDR in USA than Konamix on PS1 and DDR USA in the arcades. That didn't stop you guys from razzing them for their disc DLC and DDR universe. You guys imported Japanese PS2s to play DDR and 2DX. That didn't stop you from saying that Kutaragi eats crayons for about 2 years after the PS3 launched. And let's not forget Nintendo. As much as you guys love each Animal Crossing, Mario Kart, and Zelda game that comes out, Nintendo's failure to understand online has always been a pain point that you go back to again and again, ever since the DS and Wii launched with friends codes and no usable friends interface. hold on. We again, we hate because we love. Everyone's a little bit biased, but we're biased because we know what we want in our hearts, and when we get it, we're happy. But when we don't get it, we're unhappy. Thanks for reading my email. As someone who has listened to the show on and off since its beginnings, I couldn't sit by and watch someone leave the show just because you guys were, quote, biased. Everyone's biased. That's where our opinions come from. Deal with it. Yours truly, AZHP, OLR's premier Gold Star recipient.
Thank you for remembering more than I do about the history of the show and some of the things we said. But my one little thing is that I think that the beginning of the email said something like, well, I think that's crap or whatever, but let's not forget, we got to respect everybody's opinions or whatever. And I would just hate for the person who was just trying to give honest feedback last week to feel like, like now everybody's picking on somebody for their opinion.
No.
And I just want to make sure it's very clear.
Entitled to their opinion, too.
Absolutely. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, period. I just want to make that explicitly clear. So, thank you. We can go to the next email now, though.
All right. Well, I'm asking permission if I can thank somebody on air.
Oh, okay.
Someone just did something super nice for me. So I'll go ahead and read this email. Last week's opening was very thought-provoking. I don't think that OLR is centric to any specific console or platform. I do think that many of the viewpoints we hear on OLR are representative of the core gaming community, though not necessarily representative of the more ambiguous and generic gaming umbrella. The PS4 offers little to no change from what gamers have largely grown accustomed to. It doesn't threaten the status quo, and I think that it is very appealing to core gamers. I can to a large extent understand why the ire against Xbox Ones is so pervasive on gaming sites, forums, and podcasts. Anecdotally, people who spend no time on these types of sites don't share a similar attitude. By the way, this is written very well, with great grammar, although I do miss the Oxford comma. As gamers, I find...
Who's this from?
Dark Charger.
Oh, okay.
As gamers, I find that our community often, and perhaps the internet in general, loves to revel in negative news. To that end, I can agree with the poster that it can be depressing to be inundated with a wet blanket attitude even in the midst of a console launch. A very rare and exciting time, in my opinion. I am not suggesting that we should ignore the negativity and all slide down a magical rainbow while holding hands. Dude, that sounds fun. Only if there's sheet cake involved. What I am saying is that we also sit back and smile once in a while with the amazing choices we have as gamers on nearly every platform and at a variety of entry points and simply marvel. Every time I even think about getting bitter, my son reminds me how much he loves Mario Kart, Super Mario 3D Land, and how he wants a Pokemon party for his next birthday, and I realize that gaming is still as great as we want it to be. Hugs and kisses to OLR, Dark Charger.
This is an exciting time. I agree with that in the email, is that, despite all the wars and disagreements sometimes, this is a very exciting time to be a gamer. If you think about it, next year, just to put this in perspective, we're almost to 2014, right? Next year will mark the 12th year of Orange Lounge Radio, if you can believe it. In the 12 years that we've been doing the show, you've had 2 consoles releasing in the same month twice. And one of them was this month, or this past month, November. The other time was when the PlayStation 3 and the Wii launched in the same month back in 2006, which would have been like the second year of the podcast form of the show after we made the switch from the DDR stuff. So, I mean, it is an exciting time. Moments like this don't come around very often. And I think from E3, this whole conversation has been very charged. What was very different about last time is that when it was Sony and Nintendo launching in the same month, everybody was hazing Sony because, Sony's looking like a bunch of crayon eaters right now. And wow, Nintendo's kind of doing something different. I mean, that was the mindset of the internet, quote unquote, back then. Now, I mean, sure, you've got your Xbox and your Sony fanboys, and granted, Microsoft made a lot of missteps at E3, but what really was different this time was Sony calling them out. That was a key difference, and that's caused there to be a little more sting in this whole war. I think you can trace that back to that very moment when Sony made the YouTube of how to play used games on the PlayStation 4, where one dude handed the game to the other. I mean, I know we're not quite to the point where we look back on the biggest news stories of the year, but I would say the release of that YouTube was the biggest news story of 2013. I'll probably end up saying that again at the end of the year, was when Sony themselves put out a video of how to trade a used game on the PlayStation 4, because that was just that you didn't see that last gen, that kind of slapping, basically. Anyhow, Dark Saga.
I am defending my love of Digimon Zero 2.
Random.
But only the Japanese version. I really liked that one. The movies were great. Anyway, this one comes from Ye Old Raginator. Hi, oh, by the way, you know how that began, the Ye Old thing? Typography. There used to be a letter that they did not have a type for, and it looked very similar to the Y, so they used that. And that's why we have Ye Old and not the Old.
Let's get to Ye Old next email.
Hi, OLR crew. It's Raginator again. I just thought I'd pose some random questions this week. One, I've noticed that as of the PS2, Xbox, GameCube generation of consoles, unlike previous generations, console generation stopped being referred to as being the insert number here bit console or generation. Why the drop in the practice? It seems to me that the practice is a quick, easy, and easily understandable way to refer to a generation of consoles rather than going the long-winded route of saying something like the 360/PS3/Wii generation. Number 2, with Steam's winter sale presumably starting within the next few days, what games do the three of you think should be on everyone's radar and should be bought if it goes on sale? Well, there was a game on my list, but Codeman got it for me.
Oh.
So I'm going to be playing Skullgirls when I get home.
Oh, nice. Lucky you. That's great.
Lucky me. Thank you.
He's a nice boy.
He is.
To be fair,
mothers everywhere should approve of him.
I gave him a little gift on behalf of the show earlier this week, so I'm glad to see he's paying it forward. That's very kind. What else was I going to say with that? So what Steam games should Raginator be on the lookout for? Is that basically the gist of what I'm hearing?
Well, what we are on the lookout for, I guess. I'm probably going to get Final Fantasy 13. Because it should be out by then.
On PC?
Yeah, they were saying that there should be a PC release.
I didn't know they were doing a PC release.
I thought there was.
Are you sure?
I think I read it somewhere.
I think it would have been out by now if that was the case.
Okay, well then, Dan's the one that told me about it, so...
What have I been keeping my eye on? I ended up buying, like, Stanley Parable was something I was going to get, and I did get that. Gone Home I ended up getting. Spelunky I ended up getting. Like, all the games I had on my watch list, I ended up getting this past sale.
Yeah.
If Final Fantasy VIII goes on sale, I will buy it for the sole purpose of giving it another chance, especially with this thing that Loki was talking about where you can fix the magic system and only have to draw once, even if it's cheating, quote-unquote.
Yeah.
I think that's how I played through the game now that I think of it.
Yeah, I'll probably get it too if it goes on sale.
Yeah, that's one I'd be looking forward to.
I don't know why you know what, I did look this up and it wasn't 13, but Dan had mentioned something to me and I think I had it stuck in my head. But I almost picked it up for Xbox. But
I'm actually loading up Steam right now to see if there's anything that jumps out of my mind as like something I was waiting on to get.
Officially released Just Cause 2 multiplayer.
It's not on Steam, but Grand Theft Auto 5.
Hotline Miami is on sale right now, which I have and is fun.
I
think I got that in an indie bundle.
I completely forgot that for my gaming week I actually started playing Hotline Miami.
I forgot my
recommended to me.
I forgot my gaming week. Sonic and All Stars Racing Transformed was free this weekend on Steam, and I played that too because it was free. Yeah. So
it's on sale right now too.
Honestly, Raginator, I think everything I wanted I really bought in this last sale. I'm sure there will be more indie games that I see little screenshots of and I'll be like, "Ooh, I want that. Ooh, I want that."
There are a couple that appealed to me, but I think for right now, like that Ring Runner one actually looked interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But for right now, I still have the Shiva to play. I have Skullgirls to play. I have Deadpool to play.
Yeah.
So you're probably never going to see me on Final Fantasy again because there's shit to play.
But then patch 2.1 will hit and it'll be like, ooh,
well, I need to just freaking get past level 31 so that I can do that stupid quest that I'm stuck on. My Arcanist job quest. Anyway, whatever. 3. Final Fantasy VIII's recent release on Steam. Yay, Final Fantasy 7, Final Fantasy 8, meh. Or Final Fantasy 8, fuck that shit. Yeah, I think we just answered that question.
I realized there was a little bit of a Twitter debate earlier this week that I got caught up in, and, I kind of started it, so I deserved it. But I don't despise Final Fantasy VIII by many means. I just feel a few key flaws in that game really ruin the fun. And so I don't remember it as fondly as the others. But it has a good story. I mean, it was especially considering you could have made a game that was very similar to 7 when 7 did so well, but they didn't, and they went a very different direction with the story, and I do applaud them for that. So, yeah. I'm trying to be nice, y'all, but it's still the worst Final Fantasy game next to 14 1.0. I'm sorry. It's just how I feel. Opinions, I have them.
By the way, they did bring up the Tamagotchi and handheld Digimon. They were both brought out by Bandai, which the Tamagotchi came out first, then Digimon came so that you could battle. I had the little ones, the handheld LED, or not LED, but LCD Digimon battler things. And then I was like, I think I remember naming because I evolved a Devimon first, and I remember calling him Satan Common. That was his name, and I thought I would name a dog that. 4, I'm thinking of establishing a weekly VOG night on Counter-Strike Global Offensive on Steam. I know that unlike TF2, it isn't free, but it will likely be on sale soon. Would there are any takers?
It was actually just on sale recently, and I did pick it up because it means that I have pretty much the entirety of the first-party Valve pack. I have literally everything they have ever released first-party, minus Left 4 Dead 1 and 2. So never mind.
This email is brought to you by StarFox64. Do a barrel roll. And last email, which, by the way, we did have one from YYR, but
He said he'd call later.
I have paid attention to the chat.
Yes.
And I'm honoring the previous statement.
All right.
Live is better. Hi, OLR crew. I said hi. Firstly, that's what it says here. Firstly, thank you all for giving me a theme song. Sky made a great choice with Conga Feeling, though I'm waiting for the day he screws up and plays Miami Sound Machine's Conga by accident.
Wait, I got a better one. I got an even better one. Give it a minute. Keep going. I'll play a theme song here at the end.
But enough about you guys. I'm here to ask your pal Jason. 1, since Jason is now doing intros, is he being paid in peanuts or Oreos? I did give him a candy cane.
He drinks some of our juice. He's being paid in love and high fives.
I am being paid in involvement, which has been... It's legitimately wonderful to do.
We said, Jason, if you'll help us out, we will give you what we get from doing the show. We will match our salary.
I get an equal share.
You get an equal share of what we get. That's what he gets.
Okay, back to the email.
Yes.
Has Jason introduced OLR to the Game Grumps web show?
I've heard of it.
I know of Game Grumps.
I know I have name-dropped it and similar channels that I follow once or twice, and I'm pretty sure I've even worn a shirt out here. And not that I, of course, have any... I don't have any connection to any of these other shows except as a fan, but I do have some ideas of things that I think could be kind of pretty fantastic, but we'll see if I can actually get in touch with people and make things happen.
Okay, I'm like, I don't want to rip anything off.
Certainly,
right.
No. Certainly, like no promises to speak of, but I consume a hell of a lot of content, and so many of these things take place in California anyway, so it's a little bit more doable and not just something by Skype. I have ideas.
Well, hey, since we're on the topic, what video shows do you like other than Game Grumps? I like Game Sack.
Another one of my sources for news, like the first couple of times I did the intro, is that she goes by Dodger. She has 2 different channels. Her gaming channel all the time is Press Heart to Continue, and she does a news show on Saturday nights that I usually try to follow to take in more content as well. The Polaris Network, just in general, I drop in, see whatever videos catch my eye, and then move on to something else. Game Grumps, crap, what's his name? Gerard, JK Completes It. Markiplier, I've been watching quite a lot of his stuff lately, and I feel like Continue Show does it not a let's play, not a review, but hey, let's play a game and publish a video of the memorial moments, 30 minutes or so of a game. Updates every Wednesday. They're in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, and they're pretty fun to watch too.
See, most of the stuff I like are the review ones, like Classic Game Room, and I really like Game Sack. They're a newer one, and Game Theory.
I don't watch anything.
I
really don't.
I actually do not watch review things. I watch like active content things. Every single person that I just named plays a game and either voiceover afterwards or running commentary while they're playing the game.
And I just want to clarify, like, I support indie broadcasting and people, doing it, but it's just like I'm too busy. I like to watch the stuff my friends do, because a lot of my friends are doing live streaming, so I do a lot of that, and I'm too busy producing.
But to be honest, I think I honestly, I think of my favorites right now, I'd really have to go for game theory.
Yeah.
Because I like the fact that it breaks apart and analyzes it.
I did just catch that the other day because
is Link dead one?
No, Mario's Affliction. I can't remember the name, but basically the fact that he's actually kind of the anti-hero in like the legitimate lore and everything else in the Mario universe.
So anyway, to go ahead and close up this email, since that was the last thing, that's it. Have a good night, the Nasty Canasta.
Oh, and here for Nasty Canasta. This is Conga from Beatmania 2DX4 Style by Good Cool. Yep. I told you I have something better.
This one's fun to play, too.
Nasty Canasta. All right. Anyhow.
Aha, see, I'm not the only one that likes game theory.
I tried it one time a while back to mix conga and conga feeling together. It doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
I miss your remixes, Loki. All right, is that it for emails?
Yes.
Oh, well, then there you go. Mailbag at orangeloungeradio.com.
Now he's busy with genetic mixes.
Is the place to mailbag at orangeloungeradio.com is the place to send emails. That would be fantastic. In the meantime, let's get to the FUs of the week because, you know, we're angsty some of the time. A lot of the time. All the time.
Oh, this is bad. Here is justice. Here is punishment. This is fucked up.
So I have to do a little bit of a story, and then I will say a big F you to this jerkface. I was going to Target, and some people on my Facebook and Tumblr know about this. So I was going to Target, and there's this big guy just smoking in front of the door, blocking the path, and I was like, eh. So I tried to walk around him, and he kept putting himself in my way, so I just scooted on around because I'm shorter and faster, and he tried to grab my arm going into the Target. And I mean, this guy's bigger than Dan. Huh?
Sorry, I'm about to go off, so finish your story.
Well, and he speaks in this whiskey voice, you know, the whiskey chain smoker voice. And then so he tries to grab my arm, and I pull back, and I said, I meant to say Neanderthal, and I called him Neolithic, but I said, don't touch me, you Neolithic sack of shit. Because I was, by that point, angry because someone trying to grab me
is illegal.
Apart from that, it's something that sets me off immediately.
Who does that? This is not high school. This is not a bully. This is an adult. You don't grab somebody at random outside a Target.
To quote my friend who I discussed this with, she's like, he's the type of person who thinks that women are property.
It's disgusting.
So just going into this, basically what happens is that by the time I got inside the building, after I said this to him, I just kept dashing back on into the building.
He is going to get maced and good. He is going to he's going to grab the wrong person and he is going to be maced.
Well, I'm going to tell you, just knowing the way that I react to things, had he touched me, I probably would have completely lost my shit. Because without going into too much detail about my own past, I have lost my shit before when someone grabbed me, and it didn't end pretty.
Anyway. Oh, sorry, I didn't loop the FU music.
It's okay. So
I was too busy being
angry. And I'm short enough, and he's tall enough that if I punched him, I would have punched him in the dick. So anyway. So I scooted inside Target, and he's yelling after me, "Come back here, midget!"
You're a midget, really?
For the record, I'm 5'3". But that's all he could say, and I was like, and it just, because I was so angry and so worked up.
I would have called the police. Actually, if I had been with you, it would have gone down at the Target parking lot.
Well, let's put it this way: I was so worked up and so angry and so fucking close to a full-blown meltdown that I let it out the only way I could think of, which was hysterical laughter. Just laughing my ass off, and this guy outside here goes, "Man, she's laughing at you," and he's like, "Come back here, midget, are you laughing at me?" I was like, and that's is almost better than the physical punching in the dick, because I publicly, humiliated him, and that was pretty funny too. So, and thank you, Alan, I love you. He said, it's because Dark Soccer had the gall to be a woman in public. So basically, once I calmed down and had a fun conversation with the lady in the sock department, and how she's like, "Yeah, I saw him out there. I tried to teach my son never to be like that," and I was like, "Bless you," And they ended up escorting the guys off the property, and I think they did end up calling the cops. But I stayed inside the Target for a solid hour, and you know what was even worse about that is that the Hanukkah stuff wasn't on sale yet. So anyway, so I just ended up just wandering around and looking at stuff and looking at toys and playing on the internet on my phone, and finally left. And though I have to say that leaving the place was like that sort of, there's like a layer of calm that comes when you're in that heightened state where you observe everything and nothing escapes attention. I got into my car and the freak out started happening, and by the time I got home I was in full-blown freak out mode. I could barely say anything to anybody, and even the cat wouldn't come near me, and when Dan came home I just lost my shit. So, but in that situation, no, fuck him and fuck every man like him in the universe. This is why we need feminism.
Moving on, Loki.
All right. Well, I only have one. That's lucky the fact I had to get my wisdom teeth out. Damn it! I thought I was determined to be wise. I'm gonna be 2 teeth less wise.
I don't really have a lot to F you, so F you to my snacking habit. It's out of control.
Did you like your candy cane?
I did. I ate the whole damn thing because I have a habit. I love food. Jason.
I had one sometime this week, but I had a really good week. I'm not angsty. Sorry, guys.
F you to Jason for not having angst. All right. Just a couple.
I just need to catch my breath.
Just a couple more stories for you guys before we get to the Skype line at 1-877-GAME-OLR, or our username on Skype, Orange Lounge Radio. Let's try to run through these quick.
All right. So Atari, maybe on the back or coming back, they have finally received court approval to come out of bankruptcy. They have a payment plan now that involves paying back $3.8 million owed to the bankruptcy lender, and once they have that and they're operating on their own, they can start paying, I guess, $1.75 million to different creditors over the course of 3 years, and apparently that's a small portion of the over $10 million that they're owed. But hey, that'd be good because. At least it's not another studio going under. Maybe they'll make another Alone in the Dark game. Oh, Exodus. Crap.
All right. Well, good luck to Atari. All right. One other story for you guys. And as I promised, we would do a story about pornography. And this is a story from a website that really needs to consider their ad model because it's just annoying. And this is why people get ad blockers, Destructoid. But anyway, Destructoid ran this story about what Pornhub had to say about pornography on the various consoles that are out there. And Destructoid actually called Pornhub or emailed or whatever people do to talk to each other. And the Pornhub vice president, Corey Price, I don't know what he's vice president of, I guess just porn. So the vice president of porn said, quote, Pornhub is targeting consoles for website support because that is where some of our users today prefer to access our site, and our aim is to offer a great user experience across all platforms. Now the stuff you really want to know. Where are people watching their pornography? Because, the PS3, the PS4, the Wii, the 360, they all can, have the internet, and therefore you can get porn on it. Yes, a Nintendo console, the Wii, can get porn. Anyhow, so the majority of Pornhub traffic comes from the PlayStation 3. 55% of pornography comes from the PlayStation 3. The Xbox 360 accounts for 39%, and the Wii, as this website calls it, a limp 6%. That's just because, have you tried internet on the Wii? It's awful.
So true.
And technically, though, it does work, though.
What?
The internet on the Wii to bring up porn.
It does. I remember.
We've done that.
Yes. It was research purposes, of course. Anyway, so congratulations, PlayStation 3. You are the kings and queens of pornography. Yay. Let's go to the phones at 1-877-GAME-OLR, or our username on Skype is Orange Lounge Radio. Hello, you're on Orange Lounge Radio. Who's this?
Am I now?
Yes.
This is YYR.
Hi, you're on...
Greetings and salutations, and I love your shirt.
This is video.
Oh, yeah.
we're getting a video call.
Are you seeing this? Did you see it zoom in?
Yeah, zoom. This is an Xbox call, isn't it?
Yes, this is... I'm calling you from my Xbox One, and now let me show you basically either one of the coolest or most creepy things that the Xbox One will do as you Skype.
Oh my god, it's following you.
Yes, it is following me. It will follow you around the room. It will basically, like, if you walk out of view, it's going to be, like, confused. Oh, God, where did he go?
Oh, my God, it's
It's
Hal.
over here.
Clean that mess
While
up
I'm
off your
talking to you,
table.
it's going to zoom in on my face. Sorry.
That's all right. Give me some wheat thins, bro.
You cannot have my weekend.
All right. Well, congratulations, YYR. You are the first Xbox One caller to the show. So can I troll you
Also,
and say?
I'm sorry you have to see my messy living room. I was actually thinking about cleaning it up for this call, but
That's
then
all
I
right.
said, fuck it.
Wait. Can I try something real quick? YYR, can I try something real quick? Okay, hold on. Xbox.
No!
Power down.
No! Don't do that. And by the way, it's not power down.
Oh.
It's turn off now.
Xbox, turn off.
Don't listen to Rob, Xbox. He'll deceive you every time. He'll lead you astray.
All right. No,
It's interesting. I actually have a feeling that it somehow can differentiate between voices in the room and voices from the speaker, because my girlfriend already tried this, and it didn't work out all that well.
Didn't work out. So you're making Xbox One video calls to your girlfriend, huh?
Yes, actually, what's interesting, I was cleaning up my place for the last 2 days and listening to the last 2 weeks' worth of OLR, and I see you mention that you're in San Francisco a lot. Well, guess where she lives?
San Francisco.
So we may, depending on what happens, we may need to make some plans to, meet, chill out, because she's actually listening right now. So she'll know who you are.
Oh, well, howdy. When are you coming to San Francisco? Because our buddy Jason is in San Francisco for the holidays, so.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm going to visit her for a few days on the 19th, but I'm not sticking around for very long, because I basically used up all of my vacation this year.
Dope. Well, look up VX Jason XV, because he's in I said Seattle. What the hell? He's in San Francisco right now.
Keep in touch anyways.
Oh,
Let's see
wow.
if we can work something out.
There you go.
That's cool. So I'm listening to OLR over the weekend, and by the way, how's the audio? Is it coming through okay?
It's good.
Yeah.
You can tell that your microphone, like you're not talking into a microphone, that it's like a room microphone that has a big but it's fine. It's good enough.
Okay, so I shouldn't try plugging this in?
I'd be curious just to see what the quality difference is. Let's
Okay,
see.
well, you know what? I'll plug in my little mic here.
He's plugging in a little microphone. This is still a radio show. We might all be looking at video, but I know the podcast listeners can't see it.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Oh, that sounds like a normal call now.
Wait,
yeah.
I think I lost you.
No, we're here. Hi.
Are you still there?
Yes, and
Yeah?
you sound great. So
Hello?
talk. God damn it.
And this
Hello?
became a one-way
Oh,
conversation.
Oh my god. Yeah. That's too bad because he
Hello?
sounds better on that thing.
I had to suppress the urge to reach out my hand and say, turn the volume up in
Hmm.
sign language, but we don't have a cam.
Right,
here,
we
so
don't
I
have a
can't
cam
do
in
that.
here. Maybe I need to go get one. He's pressing buttons, and I see the lights in his room like
Hello?
fluctuating, like he's running through different screens.
All right, well, I just unplugged it. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we could actually hear you before, and you sounded great.
Hello?
Yeah. Hi. Now he can't hear us at
Hello?
all.
He lost it entirely.
Hello?
This is exciting.
Why? Maybe. Oh, you know what? I'll try. Let's see what. Okay, he hung up. Xbox One, y'all. Wave of the future.
He's calling back.
Oh, okay. He's calling back right now.
Well, I would have to say that was absolutely a success.
Yeah. We could hear you fine that whole time. Just so you know.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah, because I absolutely stopped hearing you. I tried unplugging the mic, and I still couldn't hear you. So yeah, that
Just
didn't
He
work out
found
so
an
well.
Xbox.
Just
bug.
$4.99 at your local Walmart or Target. $499
$499 US dollars.
All right. What else is on your mind? You sent an email to the show, right?
Yeah, basically after listening, I'm listening to 6-7 hours worth of OLR, and of course there were a few times when I'm just like, I wish I was in chat so I could respond to things. But there were 3 things in particular that I wanted to bring up. The subject of the discontinuation of Spot Pass service for SwapNote was brought up at least 4 separate times, okay? And I wanted to throw in my 2 cents on that. And because at first I thought also, why did they do that? Why couldn't they just drop the photo feature and leave the rest of it intact? But I thought about it for a while, and then I understood this had to be done because SwapNote, unfortunately, put kids and teens in touch with people who could, take their pictures and do bad things with them. And if they had just dropped the photo feature, it would have left these kids and teens with a way to communicate with their potential abusers. At which point the potential abusers could just say, oh, well, now send your pictures to this email address, or send your pictures to this phone, or things like that.
Or
it could
more
have gone
direct,
from
something
there.
like,
But
hey,
by
meet me at this
completely
park
pulling
near
the
your house.
plug, that, kills that idea. It stops it.
My biggest problem though, YYR, is that how come the kids are talking to these people unsupervised in the first place? Like, if a parent is concerned about it, why is SwapNote even being downloaded in the first place? I think if the parents were more involved, then you wouldn't have this happen. And this isn't something that's, this is horrible, and we do need to stop predators from predating on children, but disabling SwapNote is not going to do that. Because there's always email, there's always the internet and other forms. They found each other somehow. So I just kind of feel like, well, why? I don't understand. It strikes me as a
You're absolutely preaching to the choir. I completely agree with you that parents need to be more hands-on about what their kids and teens are doing. But for the moments that they're not, Nintendo being as family-friendly as they want to be, that is what they chose to do. And I understand it. It sucks. But I can understand that decision because they needed to cut off the contact between these two parties.
It just also further goes to show why we're never going to have video play on the Virtual Console, and I just think that's the wrong direction for Nintendo in general. It sucks for the rest of us, and
it does.
I think
but you know what? I think that just comes with the territory as gaming on a Nintendo platform. We're just going to have to do those things on other platforms.
Well, I think Nintendo's other thing, too, is that just because a parent should do something, they know not all parents will do something, so it keeps their reputation safe. They have their brand to look after.
Exactly. So, the second thing I wanted to bring up was Forza 5 microtransactions. It seems like you guys don't think it's a really big deal, but I'm going to give you 3 reasons why folks are up in arms about it. Number 1, in older Forza games, by playing through the game and completing the challenges or whatever, occasionally you would get cars for free. Hey, you cleared this thing, you get this car. They don't do that anymore in 5. You cannot earn cars by any means except buying them with credits or tokens. Except for the very first car you get when you start the game, because how can you drive without one?
So it's not like what we were just saying about Gran Turismo 6, where you just unlock them through the course of the story anyway. I had the impression that these two games were in very similar boats.
No, that you have to buy all of the cars now. At least that's what I've read online. I just started playing the game myself. I haven't really gotten to a point where I would want to buy another car yet. But from what I've been reading in Amazon reviews and GameFAQs posts and other places, there are no free cars anymore except the one you get at the start. You have to buy everything. Now, ready for your mind to be blown?
Uh-oh.
This is how DLC cars work. This is item number 2. You pay real money for the DLC, yes?
Right.
When you do this, this adds the cars to the game, but you cannot actually drive the cars until you buy them from the in-game shop.
Ooh.
And if you don't have enough credits to do that, you get to open your wallet again and essentially pay twice to use these cars.
Huh.
Yep.
I'm waiting. I'm really hoping somebody in the chat room here is going to jump in and say you're wrong. Like, no offense, but I
would hope so too. That would be great. I hope someone tells me that.
Our buddy Bobby Blackwolf went to bed, and I know he's been playing the game. So
he said the exact same thing though on his show. I want to say, yeah.
Well,
then,
here's the thing.
Number 3 item, which basically makes 1 and 2 worse, is credits are earned slower in the game than they were in Forza 4. So
I will give this little thing, and that is that, okay, well, there's a lot of DLC that you download that you can't really play until you get to a certain point in the game. But I don't know, something just seems really, really tacky about it. Super tacky. DKB in chat at live.vognetwork.com says he's not wrong.
Wow. Yeah, I was really hoping I would be, but no. And the developer has responded. Basically what happened was if someone bought like one of the most expensive cars early on, they give you a free other car. If not, they give you that car for free. But in order to get in on this, you had to buy the game at launch and join their like Forza Rewards program or whatever. I don't know what that is.
Wow.
So it's a mess, and I really don't like this whole you bought a $60 game, now we'll throw free-to-play type elements into it.
Yeah,
it's something I hope doesn't last too long. I really hope
I hope people reject that. Anyway, you said you had one more thing?
The last point I wanted to make, on the subject of Loki being too harsh towards the new consoles, no, I don't agree. I don't think he was overly harsh at all. The fact of the matter is, the games aren't there yet. I mean, I bought an X1 because I want to be one of the first, developers who didn't get into the early program to put games on the system. I didn't buy it because I had to have it. The game I've most been looking forward to playing is Peggle 2, and that comes out tomorrow.
Good choice.
I got Forza 5, I got Dead Rising 3, they've mostly been sitting there. So it's like, the Skype thing is cool, the TV features are neat, but I don't use most of them. I just, it's cool to be able to say, okay, watch CNN or watch Comedy Central or whatever, and the Xbox One will push the buttons on your cable box for you.
And again, this call coming from an Xbox One.
It's cute. It's nice, but it's not a have-to-have kind of thing. There's no real reason, in my opinion, to own one of these boxes right now.
Wow.
And there's no real reason to own a PS4.
Not yet.
The games aren't there yet.
Not yet. All right, YYR, this has been a fantastic call. I love this. I got to let you go so we can get some more calls. But thank you for demoing
One quick thing.
Yeah.
Actually, really quick. The last thing from past OLR, Jamie said, Jamie pointed out that our society, our government, and our healthcare systems don't give enough attention to mental health. Probably the truest statement that ever was. This needs to be dealt with. It needs to be looked into. It needs to be focused on. It's really important.
I agree with that.
Well, thank
absolutely.
you.
All right, YYR, thank you so much for binge listening to OLR and then calling us from your Xbox One. I appreciate it. And he was very well prepared.
Too much is never enough.
All right, take care, buddy.
You too.
Bye. Always a pleasure to hear from him, and that was a lot of fun to go to the Xbox One for the calls. But whoa, what the fuck?
Are we
was
dialing
that?
to AOL?
Did somebody?
Are we connected to a BBS?
Did somebody just?
Did we just call a fax machine?
Was that a fax machine that was calling
there's
us?
there's
By the way,
actually been
Rob,
fax
you know
spam
what's
coming
actually super funny
Huh.
is that Tiara just beat Mass Effect 2,
Yeah.
and she romanced Garrus.
1-877.
Definitely sister after my own heart.
1-877 game OLR. Our username on Skype, Orange Lounge Radio, all one word. But the phone is still ringing off the hook. Let's go to it. Hi, you're on Orange Lounge Radio. Who's this?
Second, trying to fix my. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Hi.
Okay. Yeah, I had to fix my headphones. Anyway, I just wanted to call real quickly about Danny Wells.
Yeah, this guy's Judo, right?
Yeah, Kaijudo.
Hey, buddy, how you doing?
All right. Yeah, what I just wanted to mention was I didn't know him as Mario. I knew him as the bartender on the Jeffersons. That's where he's mostly known for me.
Oh my God, that's right. He was, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was Charlie on the Jeffersons for years. So that's
out.
really where his notoriety comes from.
So many talented people on that show are deceased. There's is anybody on from that show? I know we lost Sherman Helmsley. We lost Roxy Roker a long time ago. I mean, there's so many people from that show that aren't around anymore. That's unfortunate.
I think Bentley might still be alive.
I think Florence is still alive too.
Oh yeah, Florence is alive.
But
I think Bentley's alive too.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure. But yeah, that's where I knew him from. And I was looking him up on IMDb. I didn't even know that this is another video game related thing. He did some voice acting for one of the Splinter Cell games. So he's been connected with video games.
That's really cool. Well, I like that you're recognizing him for things that aren't just Luigi. I mean, obviously our community remembers him for that an awful lot, but that's great. That's some awesome little trivia type stuff. That's cool.
Yeah, if you grew up in the 80s, I mean, you know that guy's face. I mean, he's been like an extra on so many television shows. He's always playing like some kind of slimy con artist type of a guy. He just has one of those faces.
Well, plus, I mentioned earlier in the show, I binged on game shows a lot when I was a kid, and what came on after game show binges? The Jeffersons. Well,
right.
We're moving on up,
Freaking love that show.
Yeah, that show was great. A spin-off of All in the Family. Never realized that till years later.
Yeah, we could talk about TV for hours, but All in the Family had so many freaking spin-offs.
All right.
Even you can even count Good Times as a spin-off from All in the Family.
That's true.
Because the mother came from Maude, which was a spin-off of the All in the Family. So
all right,
they're all
Kaijudo, we need to
they're all
write
in the
all
same
this.
universe.
We need to write
All
all
right,
this down for Dark Sakura's future. I'm a nerd and 30 show. You're gonna have an episode all about connections to All in the Family.
Good Lord.
And one last thing, when you guys mentioned the game show that lets you run around and like pick video games.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you meant this other game show that I love called it was a takeoff of the Newlywed Game. It was called I'm Telling, where it had like a brother and sister.
I remember that show.
That show was great.
Yes, that was.
Yeah,
I do remember
that show was great. And they had a similar thing where they would let you run through a maze and like you hit like this little siren thing to try to match what your brother or sister picked, and you would get all the prizes. That was just cool.
I so remember that, and like because I was I do have a brother and a sister, but they're 14 and 16 years older than me, so I was kind of like an only child growing up, and I always was like, I want somebody to go on this show with, but it was never going to happen. So.
Yeah, they should have did a Friends edition. That would have worked.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I got for you.
Kaijudo, thanks for the walk down memory lane. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
You too.
All right, bye. Great tribute to Danny Wells. And remember, what about the other things Danny Wells did? That was great. I love that. Dark Soccer, 1-877-GAME-OLR, or our username on Skype, Orange Lounge Radio, if you want to give us a call. Dark Soccer, if you were to do a show like that, like the nerd stuff, and I'm 30 or whatever, I could sing the theme song for you. Those were the days.
Answer the phone.
Well, you don't like my singing? 1-877-GAME-OLR. Oh, hi. Hi, you are on Orange Launch Radio. Who's this?
It's the one and only Ron McCalling from Brooklyn.
Hi, Ron. And you're on webcam, too. Are you calling us from your Xbox One?
Yeah, I'm calling from pre-Xbox One. It's called having Skype next to your Xbox 360 and chatting that way because it's a lot more fun, and you can shit talk that way without having Microsoft kind of breathing down your throat.
So you're calling us from an Xbox Vision camera?
Actually, no. Calling from my awesome Logitech camera.
Awesome. Well, I noticed you got your Luigi hat on, and you got your Luigi coffee cup. You have a Luigi coffee cup? That's awesome.
Yes, got it from Nintendo World. They also have a Happy Holidays Christmas mug as well.
Nice.
You're in your Luigi shirt? I see a Luigi shirt. Yeah. It says, what does that say? It's mirror imaged for me. It says the L.
The L does not stand for loser.
So you are in full black Luigi mode tonight.
Yeah, something like that. A friend of mine does a webcomic called It Sucks to Be Ouija, and it's pretty funny.
Aww.
And somewhere around here, I have a... Oh, here it is. I also picked this up from my soon-to-be tree.
A Luigi ornament that says Happy Holidays.
Yes.
Adorable.
Now, I got some stuff we got to talk about, so Rob, get the coffee on. We got some talking to do.
All right. I'll get out the cheesecake.
Oh, fabulous, fabulous.
Tell me about that one time in St. Olaf.
Rob, you are something else.
I know. I get that a lot. No, really, what's up?
Yeah, back what Kaijudo said, that's where I knew Danny Wells from, because when the show first came on, I spotted Luigi before I noticed Mario was done by Captain Lou Albano, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So that whole thing kind of comes full circle to me.
Yeah.
Now, also, I like to say, fuck yes to Square One TV. That show got me to run home to watch it, okay?
Me too.
Got out of school at 3:10. I was there watching Thundercats at 3:30, Square One TV at 4.
I think Square One was on for us at like 3. Like, I had to get home fast if I wanted to see it because, elementary school, you get out a little earlier.
PBS affiliates don't have a set schedule. It differs from every single market.
Oh, yeah. I think for us it was on at 3, but I think it was timed for like when elementary kids get out of school, so it makes sense.
Yeah, and if I missed it on one PBS station, I could catch it on another PBS station like an hour or a half hour later.
You have more than one?
He's New York City, dude.
Yeah, we have PBS 13. There's Channel 21. There's 25. There's
like 50 PBSs.
I've never heard of this before.
Jersey
City
network
Life,
that we get Channel 50. So we get a few of them.
We've got Channel 6. Take it or leave it.
And depending on how you have your antenna, you can pick up stations from Connecticut.
Oh, that's right, because there's a PBS 9 in Reading. Anyway, cool story, bro. What? Let's talk about TV channels in your neck of the woods.
No, let's not. And what I just realized with Nintendo rehashing all of these video games, Nintendo is becoming that old celebrity is trying to relive their prime with yet another greatest hits. That's what it's like this time, It's like you first have Donkey Kong Country, then Donkey Kong Country Returns. Donkey Kong Country comes back again. I think the next one's going to be Donkey Kong Country comes out of retirement. The only difference is maybe extra level or redone music or something like that.
Donkey Kong is getting up there in age.
Yeah, how about Donkey Kong gets out of the retirement home?
Are you looking forward to the new Donkey Kong Country game, or are you over it?
I'm over it. Like I said, I'm only picking up a Wii U once Bayonetta 2 and Mario Kart 8 comes out. Other than that, it can wait.
Mario Kart 8 is what, April?
Yeah.
I don't think they really have a date yet for it, but I think it was around April.
Yeah, April or May-ish. I am living for Mario Kart 8. It better deliver.
Yeah, even if it gets delayed, I'm like, I can wait.
Yeah, if it's a great Mario Kart game, it'll be worth the wait.
Yes.
All right.
A couple more things.
Yeah.
I think last week or week before last, you talked about podcasting and the Sound Blaster card and stuff. And any desktop PC off the shelf can do the same thing. You have to go into the settings and enable it. You can do it.
Oh, for some reason, my studio computer doesn't do it so well. And I just want to point out, just for our listeners, Rama's call quality is dropping significantly, so that's why his voice kind of changed a little bit. I don't know what's going on. He might need to stop his porn torrents. Or, no, sometimes, with all the 50 PBSs transmitting signals in New York City, sometimes the signal gets a little clogged
I'm
there.
not sure following porn by PB yet. Never mind.
Rob, I think you're right. It is my porn torrents.
Finally, somebody fesses that fuck up on this show. Yes, Rob, it was my porn torrents. Thank you. You're an honest man.
I abuse my Fios connection. I get 56 megs coming down, 33 megs going up.
All right. Rama, a quick last thought to get out here before we let you go.
Yes. Okay, my last thought is this. If you want to play classic Nintendo cartridges on your Wii U, turn your Wii U on, push Start A, and a slot will pop out for classic cartridges.
Okay, go post that to 4chan and see if somebody believes you. All right, Rama, it's getting very crackly and stuff, so I really have to let you go. But thanks so much for the call, and have a good one, okay?
Yeah.
All right, bye. Rama, Anime Jam session on Tuesday nights, everybody, here at the Voice of Geeks Network. We can probably squeeze in one more call. There's a little ad on my Skype right now I just want to point out. Talk to friends while watching live TV with Skype on Xbox One.
No.
There's no box for me to respond. So, all right. 1-877-GAME-OLR or our username on Skype, Orange Lounge Radio. I do want to see if I can at least get to some of these Twitter topics because we had some good Twitter topics come in and we're falling a little behind here on the show. Loki, did you have any last-minute stories?
No.
No? Okay. Let's see. Surtur wanted to ask, he hopes that Bobby and us talk about Gran Turismo 6 tonight.
You know what? Dan, we got it.
Yeah.
And Dan's been playing the crap out of it.
Mm-hmm.
He really liked it. And then he actually watched football, which made me wonder who replaced my husband.
Dan doesn't usually watch football?
He does sometimes, but usually with other people. He was in there watching it by himself. I'm like, where's my husband? Who are you?
Spazinator tweets us and asks, Loki, quadruple cheese and quadruple bacon pizza or quadruple bacon double cheeseburger? I can answer that. Pizza.
No, because that much cheese on a pizza is actually not very good. And even extra cheese on a pizza is not very good. And when you do quadruple cheese, trust me, I've seen it before, it's not as good as you'd think because
it's too much.
That's a lot of grease you're adding on there, and it throws off the magic ratio. Adding tons of bacon, though, go right ahead.
You're taking that question way too seriously.
I know.
All right.
I think he didn't take it far enough, to be honest.
1-877-GAME-OLR or username on Skype, Orange Lounge Radio. I wonder if that was on our end because we were getting more calls a minute ago, and now nothing is lighting up. Sad face. Okay. Let's see. Act Deft tweeted us, there's more info surrounding the Legend of Sonic 3's soundtrack. I wonder if this ties into the whole Michael Jackson thing because wasn't there like somebody ran a whole thing on that?
He didn't like Jackson didn't like the limitations of the sound chip, didn't like the way he didn't like the results of the soundtrack, so they still kept some of the inspiration, but ultimately he wasn't credited and specifically involved.
Apparently, though, this actually doesn't have to do with the game trailers thing. Apparently, and this is the story that ActDeft leaked us just to kind of try to cover this quickly. Fervor Records on YouTube posted some unreleased music tracks from the band The Jetsons. Not the Jetsons, but the Jetsons.
Clever.
And one track called Hard Times was somewhat like the theme of Ice Cap Zone. Well, why does that fucking matter? Because the keyboardist of the group, who is Brad Buxer, worked on the title along with Michael Jackson, which he said in an interview. He's not sure what material the developers used in the game, but I guess it was remnants of that unreleased song. Very interesting. So, you know what? Michael Jackson had something to do with it. And because Michael Jackson is such a perfectionist, I would fully believe that he just didn't like the way it was turning out, so he walked away from it.
Easily.
I think that's the simple story we have there. Let me get to the calls real quick here. We got one more call coming in. This will probably be it for tonight. Hi, you're on Orange Launch Radio. Who's this? Hey, Zaku. We haven't heard from you in a while. What's up, buddy?
Oh, not that much. Just trying to chill on my night off. Well,
somebody turned out the lights, but we're getting a lot of video calls tonight. I like this. So what's up, buddy?
No, just trying to clean up Steam right now. Managed to get like a second hard drive. Well, actually, 2 of them set up in RAID, but the idea is I'm going to start moving my Steam games towards that one and then actually downloading whatever else I don't have, whatever else is in my backlog right now.
You look like you woke up at 6 a.m. to call this program.
I'm just like getting ready to go to bed.
It's all good. It's all
just
good.
Don't mind the sore throat and congestion.
So what are you playing on Steam then? What's your big Steam games of choice that you got to move everything around to make space and stuff?
Well, I'm just trying to get stuff like the Orange Box, all the other, the other Half-Life games that I just like. I guess I lost track and never actually got around to downloading it. And then, stuff like the first 2 Mass Effects that I have and Sleeping Dogs. I don't know if I want to do GTA 4 because I'm still on 5, obviously. And then I still have Arkham Asylum and Arkham City that I still have to fire up.
Everybody's got a backlog. Everybody's got a backlog the size of 50 PBS stations that they have to work their way through this holiday season. Thank gosh there's no more games coming out right now. But what can the listeners of our show, or what can we help you with tonight, Zaku?
I guess, have you noticed I don't know if you covered this already, but remember that fighting game Skullgirls?
Yes.
Yeah, I get to play that tonight.
Apparently, in 2 weeks, their publisher Konami is pulling their games from the PSN and Xbox Live.
I caught you. You did wake up just to call this show because we did talk about that about an hour ago. So yes, we touched on some of the basics of that. But what are your thoughts with that?
I don't know. I mean, this is typical behavior of them. I mean, if it's them screwing over ITG or basically not giving a shit about the Mamani series, it's them screwing over independent developers.
Well, hold on though, because I mean, and granted, I'm not going to claim to be up on Skullgirls and everything that's going on, but my understanding from what I'm reading is that they had an agreement. The agreement is ending as of such and such date. So Konami says, well, if we're not going to be making money from this anymore, then yank, it's getting pulled.
But they didn't even inform their actual their developers. They did not. They did it behind their back. Obviously, they probably knew about the end of the agreement, but they didn't even give them a heads up so they can plan the transition. That's bad. That's bad business practice. It's very unprofessional of them, especially if you're in a contract with with another company that you're working with, and you don't have the wherewithal to provide for a smooth transition for all the other customers using it.
Let me ask you this, because what would be the best way to kind of give that message to Konami that you're not happy with what they did? Because obviously the answer is not boycotting Skullgirls because you want to support that game. So that's not the answer, and I don't think boycotting all Konami products is really a realistic answer. I mean,
they don't have much that comes out in console.
Yeah, there's not enough stuff coming out. So if gamers are really pissed off about this, Zaku, like you are, what do you think is the best way we can express that to Konami and make them listen?
Stop buying their iOS and Android games because that's where all their business is now.
They basically, Bomani's gone mobile at this point. Other than niche pockets in arcades in certain parts of the country, if not the world, everything else is just them microtransacting all their IPs, their music rhythm-based IPs. That's pretty much it.
That's been the state of Bomani for a few years now, which is
it's
sad
not
and
even
depressing.
It's
but
just
other
in general, the principle of work, an independent, an indie dev trying to, find a publisher, give them the light of day, but then at the other hand, they're actually doing, not giving them the professionalism that they gave them during the whole process. As I said, it's really what happens when you try to work with other clients, and those clients in particular don't want to give you everything necessary to achieve the business goals.
Well, I'd be curious to see if Konami does end up having to respond to this at all, but I don't know. I just kind of have this weird feeling that they probably won't, and gamers will support Skullgirls on PC later on, and that's that. But Zaku,
I guess what they're trying to do right now is they're trying to find another publisher, or right now in the short term, they're trying to get another build in. They're trying to get an update in just to keep the game alive, per se. But in terms of they're done with Konami at this point, but they just need to be more. They need to do a little bit more due diligence on their actual on their future publisher.
All right, Zaku, I've got to wrap this up. We've got to go because we're running way late. But you know what? I'd be curious to see what the response is on a greater scale to this, because obviously there's a lot of people that are pretty unhappy about this. But I don't know. I just don't know if it's going to be enough to make waves. But we'll see. All right. Zaku, take care, buddy. Thanks for the call.
Have a good one.
All right. Sleep well. Bye. Vitamin C. You look like you have a cold. All right, no more phone numbers. Sorry, guys. Sorry to those that didn't get through, but we're running long tonight, so we've got to wrap it on up. But please, you can always email us your thoughts, mailbag@orangelelounge.radio.com. And one other Twitter topic I wanted to hit on, and we didn't have last-minute stories, right? SG100 Matt tweeted us, this is sports ball related, but someone took the Alabama versus Auburn unbelievable final play and remade it in Tecmo Bowl. So
okay, I have to watch that, and then
somebody put this in a way that would make Jamie and I care. Is really the news I'm hearing here.
And then I have to show it to my mother. My mom was voting for Alabama.
Tecmo Bowl is great. All right. We got to wrap it up. We are so done because this is almost a 4-hour show tonight, and it's not even a marathon show. But thank you guys for staying with us tonight the whole way through. Really appreciate it. You know what we always say here at Orange Lounge Radio? If you like the show, all we ask, tell a friend or 5 or 15 or 50 about the show. Help us spread the word about Orange Lounge Radio. We really appreciate it. Leave us a nice word or a nice review wherever you found this show. Maybe that was iTunes Podcast. Stitcher Radio has been doing great for us lately, and we really want to thank the folks at Stitcher. I don't know if you guys know this, but we broke the top 15 game shows this past week. That blows my mind.
Woo-hoo!
But that's really because of you guys out there listening and supporting the show, so I really appreciate it. So leave a nice review and so forth. Every little bit helps, and I think that's a big part of why we are doing as well as we are over there. Before we close up shop tonight and play the credits, I got to get people's final thoughts. Jason, thank you once again for being here. I hope you had a good time.
Always. Always.
What people may not realize, you have to drive an hour and 45 minutes to get here one way on a Sunday, and you do it for this show. And then you go back.
Twice.
And you and you edit the video. So we really appreciate your dedication, and thank you. The show would not be possible without you, literally, because you've also helped us with many a web thing. So thank you.
I always look forward to it.
Any final thoughts for our listeners tonight?
I am doing a very good job of having ideas, not writing them down, and forgetting them. So here is to forgetfulness.
You have a laptop in front of you.
I know.
Launch that notes application and have it open at all times, sir.
Yes,
right.
I am definitely doing that from here on out.
That's an order. All right, Loki, your final thought tonight.
I also forgot that I played Surgeon Simulator 2013 today. Or I should say I let my son watch me do that. It was more like knocking stuff off desks simulator, because that's what I was doing. Because he was too afraid of the actual surgeries. It's like, I don't like this game. So yeah. So that's all I have.
All right. And Dark Soccer, your final thought tonight.
Meh. You know why?
Why?
Because I went Pinkberry, and it's not cheat day.
Okay, I'm going to leave it at that. Because I may or may not have something in the freezer right now, but I'll save it.
Bitch.
I'll save it. All right. My final thought for the night is candy canes are the best thing about Christmas. Candy canes are the best thing about Christmas.
And that new candy cane flavor at Pinkberry?
Actually, they do have peppermint.
Yeah.
But Dark Sakura brought me a pumpkin candy cane before the show. It's like a giant one. I ate it all during the show. Because I love food.
You were done before the show, actually. That was during Bobby's show.
I love food.
Did it really taste like pumpkin pie?
It was good. Yeah, it tasted like pumpkin. I offered to let you lick it.
I don't want your cooties. You already gave me gay 7 years ago. Remember that?
Oh, sorry about that.
No, there's a story.
All right, quickly, because we got to play the credits.
We were at Golfland, and they had these big Pepsi Bong bone drink things. And so I let Rob have a sip of it, and I said, I don't have cooties or anything. He's like, okay, and took a drink, passed it back, goes, I have gay. I was like, and Irene was there, and I was like, oh my God, Irene, let's date.
And for the rest of the day, you did.
Kinda.
She just shrugged. Maybe. All right.
I know, Irene's pretty cute.
Thank you guys again for downloading the show and checking it out. We really appreciate it. We'll be back to do this all again next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Have a great week in your gaming, whatever it is you're playing. Just have fun. It is an exciting time to be a gamer. Good night.
You've been listening to Orange Lounge Radio. Orange Lounge Radio is a production of OLR Studios. To join us for a live show, tune into VogNetwork.com Sunday nights at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. The views and opinions expressed in this program do not necessarily reflect those of the staff of Orange Lounge Radio or VOG Network, but you know they were all still true. See you next week.